this stadium isn't the center of the world, the United States, or even New Orleans. But for the next 3 hours, it will be the most important place in the American sports world. Hi, I'm Jack Whitaker, and millions of you probably would give anything to be sitting where I am right now, the 50-yard line of Tulane Stadium, the site of the 1970 Super Bowl. But there are only 80-some thousand seats here, and they were all spoken for weeks ago. But you know, you probably have a better seat in front of your television set. They don't show us instant replays or isolated reruns in slow motion here at the stadium. Your refreshments are easier to get to. And let's face it, these stadium seats are not upholstered. In the next half hour, we'd like to compress the events of the past week to show you some of the things that have happened since the Minnesota Vikings kicked off to the Cleveland Browns in the National Football League title game at 12:08 Central Time 1 week ago today.
CBS Television Sports presents Countdown to Kickoff at the Super Bowl. Brought to you by the airline the pros fly, the friendly skies of United. And by Firestone, the strong tires with exclusive triple strength construction. And by original Pabst Blue Ribbon beer, brewed by the first of the great Milwaukee brewers.
After you. They're out to get you. Thousands of them. When they surround you with insurance policies, you need help. And there's a guy looking to help you. An independent agent who can lead you out of the jungle. So see the pro where you find this symbol. Only a member of the National Association of Insurance Agents can display it. Wanna?
The songs of the good old days, when there was time to listen, time to enjoy. And there was Pabst Blue Ribbon. No other beer became such a part of an era as Blue Ribbon, and it's still brewed today the old-time premium way for good old-time flavor. Original Pabst Blue Ribbon beer, brewed by the first of the great Milwaukee brewers.
In Bloomington, Minnesota last Sunday, a good contest was expected, even though the tough Western champion was a slight favorite after their wonderful win over Los Angeles.
Last Sunday in Minnesota's 7-degree chill, fire-breathing Joe Kapp and his Purple Horde overwhelmed the Cleveland Browns. Kapp opened by throwing long passes to his brilliant receiver, Gene Washington, number 84. The first Washington catch set up the first Viking touchdown. The second left Washington floating lonely as a cloud, and for all practical purposes, the game had ended after the first 7 minutes. Cleveland's attempts at retaliation were thwarted by the NFL's best defense. But the brightest stars were on offense. Kapp, Washington, and running back Dave Osborne, number 41. Osborne banged, pivoted, and rolled for over 100 tough yards. Picture-perfect blocking set up a classic 20-yard touchdown by Osborne, who always seems to run best when the going is toughest. But the soul and guts of the Minnesota victory belonged to number 11, Joe Kapp, who himself ran for a total of 57 yards, the hard way. Joe Kapp is an athlete who seems to be blessed with only one skill, the ability to win. The Minnesota Vikings have followed him from pro football's nether regions to the championship of the National Football League.
Yahoo! Wonderful!
Well, that's how it was in the chilling temperatures of Minnesota last Sunday. Out on the West Coast in the favorite Oakland Raiders stadium, the climate and the contest were quite different.
Last week in sunny Oakland, the Kansas City Chiefs could not get their offense into gear. In the third period, quarterback Len Dawson was faced with 3rd and 14 from his own 2. Dawson retreated and threw as far as he could down the right sideline. Otis Taylor's spectacular catch saved the day for the Chiefs. Another important catch was made by Dawson's other wide receiver, Frank Pitts, number 25. However, both Kansas City touchdowns were scored on the ground, one by Robert the Tank Holmes, number 45. But the Chiefs' victory belonged mainly to their league-leading gang of rugged defenders who continually batted Oakland's offensive backs. The Chiefs' brutal front four gave Darrell LaMonica the roughest afternoon of his brilliant career. Number 87, quick and deadly Aaron Brown, gave a superb demonstration of how to play defensive end. Four times, Kansas City's defensive pressure forced interceptions. 2 were by number 18, rabbit-quick cornerback Emmett Thomas, the AFL's leading interceptor. Later in the game, Thomas made the Chiefs' 3rd interception within 3 minutes. Thomas's 62-yard return put the Chiefs in position to clinch their 3rd AFL championship. The American Football League's final championship game was given a fitting conclusion, as the winningest coach in AFL history was carried from the field by the winningest team in AFL history.
Champions, baby!
The league championship games were the next to the last act in this year's pro football drama. The main actors, the winning teams, arrived here in New Orleans this week to begin the intense preparations for the climactic scene in the Super Bowl. But while football is the main theme of the play, there are other elements in an event of this magnitude, and we're going to show you some of them in just a moment as today's countdown continues.
There's no telling what you'll run into on the highways these days. But this new Super Belt tire has Firestone's exclusive triple-strength construction. Strong cords for extra long mileage. Strong sidewalls for extra long mileage. Strong bonding for extra long mileage. Firestone's new wide oval tire. Test after test shows it can give you up to 40,000 miles. If you're a sensible and law-abiding driver, even 50,000 miles and more. Get Superbelt for extra long mileage at Firestone, the mileage specialist.
The New Orleans Saints football team has always been noted for its elaborate and spectacular halftime shows at home games. They're introducing today's Super Bowl show. And on Friday, our CBS production crew visited one of its many rehearsals at a field next to the stadium.
Position ready to go.
So where will he be?
Where are you going to be? Are you going to be
Where
on
you
top
going
of
to be, on the sideline?
Which is going to be right down the way. It's going to be down there on the ladder.
On a ladder.
Okay.
So you watch. All right. You.
Go, fellas, something like that, and he'll go.
I can give you a hand something, and then I'll turn around to them.
Paul, is this your number? All right. What we've got to do
I've got now, give me 2 sets of 8s to get Doc and Al onto the field.
It has been a busy week in New Orleans for everyone connected with the game. But nobody has worked harder than the men who will cover it for television. This is the announce booth where play-by-play announcer Jack Buck and analyst Pat Summerall will be working from. And before the director cues them, they will have finally finished a week of intense preparation.
Well, I heard something about a Model T. What is that?
Well, we used that, Pat, just last week for the express purpose of being able to take advantage of some of the things that the Oakland Raiders were doing. We have great respect for their football team. They're truly a great team, and we felt that we could best take advantage of this situation from that particular formation.
That's with 3 running backs, is that correct?
Well, we had a tight end in one position behind the left guard. We had our fullback behind the right guard and our tailback in the deep position.
And then one specific thing I did want to ask you about was I believe the inside slot is correct terminology, where Otis Taylor is lined up between the guard and the tackle.
Yes, we use it's a camouflage slot, we call it. We put him in between the guard and the tackle, and last week, of course, we had both people in the slot between the guard and the tackle, and it worked efficiently for us on a couple of occasions.
A lot of different formations then.
Yes, we do. It's a little bit the same face with a little different makeup.
Right. Side slot we're talking about. That's Taylor in the slot. Nobody hits him. Let's back that up again. That's the thing that they used against the Jets twice, those 2 big games?
He's tough when he flies through that.
Camouflage slot or something like that? That's what Stram said they call it.
Who's going to get him then?
No linebacker to even knock him off stride. One of the safety men's got to pick him up. He's lucky if he sees him and where he's coming from. Running back was, we were looking at a play, and you said something about that's one of the few wide plays we ran during the course of the game, and you said something about we don't run wide that much. Any particular reason for that?
Well, the defenses really are getting so good that we find it's difficult to get wide anymore. That by the time you get out to make the corner, you got 11 people in pursuit. Sometimes you got 8 or 9 people out at the corner. So we find it's difficult, as does everybody else, to get wide.
One last thing I'd like to ask you, and I think this is the thing that more people have talked about this year's Minnesota team, is the togetherness that they have, this extreme amount of spirit, the love, I guess you could say, that they have for each other. What do you think is responsible for that?
Well, winning, I think, is the big thing. It's not hard to have morale and all the togetherness that you get when you're winning. Although I would have to say this team really, the makeup of the team, I think, is conducive to this. We don't have any problems other than our football problems. The Vikings have never been beset with any other problems other than winning football games in the history of their existence.
I would think a lot of credit for that has to go to the coach, Bud Grant.
Well, they were in existence long before I got here, too, Pat.
Do it like we had before with this isolated monitor down here.
I'd rather have it in front of me anyway.
Sometimes I look down and I think I'm looking at the line monitor, and it's the other. Were we working here before?
No, we worked further back. You're going to have the statistician on that side, right?
No, I have the spotter here, and you have the staff man
over here. Okay, we don't have any problem.
Besides the 4 announcers assigned to this show, there are 120 technical men, 40 production people, and, of course, an awful lot of technical equipment. The figures on the cable alone are staggering. 25 miles of it. All of this to bring you 4 hours of great football action and spectacular entertainment. But the important thing, of course, is the game. And the people who have been under the most pressure all week have been the players. In just a moment, we'll be back with an unusual look at some of the key men on both teams as today's countdown continues.
Imagine for a moment that you're in the gay 90s.
Bartender, 3 more blue ribbons.
At the best spot in town. You're here to enjoy the great premium beer of the day, Pabst Blue Ribbon.
3 more blue ribbons.
You can still enjoy this good old-time flavor today in original Pabst Blue Ribbon beer, brewed by the first of the great Milwaukee brewers.
If those guys hit you, man, you've got a claim. But there's an insurance pro who can help you get fast, fair payment.
That's a fender and a bumper for sure.
He's an independent agent, and he knows that his business depends on his giving you personal service. So see the pro where you find this symbol. Only a member of the National Association of Insurance Agents can display it. And don't ever drive in Packer Stadium.
A pro football player is the object of much attention and admiration, but in most cases he remains an impersonal and distant figure with a uniform and number. This week we try to get a closer look at some of the Vikings and the Chiefs as they prepared for the game.
We've had it, Bo.
This is the biggest game of my career. It'll mean the World Championship, and the monetary aspects of it are kind of enticing also. With all the things at stake, I think you can throw those 11 points out the window. I think for the cornerback position, it's a challenge for me to stand out there, and sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. Hopefully you come out on top. Just prior to going out on the field before the game, it's pretty tight until you get the first lick. He catches a pass on you, something like this, it loosens you up.
Starting Tuesday, I started getting hyper, and by the end of the week, I'm sky high, and just try to hold it down and keep a little emotion or physical strength left for the ball game. I don't want to waste it all pacing up and down in the motel room before the game, and we try to hit our peak at Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock and be ready to play football then and do the job.
We think it's going to be a real tough head knocker. As you know, the Kansas City, we think, has a real fine defensive team. They're big and strong, and we have a fine defense also, so I don't look for a high-scoring ball game. You don't even think about really. You just go out there and you just fighting for every inch you can get, and you keep your feet moving until you're down on the ground, and I guess it just happens that now and then I manage to break loose and get a few extra yards. I've got to do this because I'm not the real fancy runner and to put a move on anyone, so I just try to hit them and run over them and maybe spin out for a few extra yards.
From my own personal feeling, I don't play good ball when I'm real keyed up and anticipating something real great. It's kind of hard to overlook the fact that it's a Super Bowl, but I try to look at it like it's another game. Of course, a lot of marbles are in the basket for this game, but I'm trying to just think of it as another game, because if I don't, I might get too keyed up. I might do some things during the game that I wouldn't ordinarily do if I were relaxed.
It's actually more fun to play in a championship game because it means so much more. Football is always, to my mind, the roughest sport there is. The roughness is a part of it, and after so long, playing it so long, that it's an enjoyable part of it. In football is the only game where they line up opposite each other and ram heads, and you know what's going to happen.
The teams are probably going into the game as evenly and as close as any two teams have gone into a championship game. There are a lot of reasons for a team like ourselves to be nervous. We could easily be overconfident too, because we've had a good season. We are mature enough to realize that we're going to have to give our best performance Sunday. If they make more mistakes than we do, if they have less luck than we do, if they're not as well prepared as we are, and vice versa, that's what's going to win the game.
How some of the Chiefs look at themselves, their opponents, and the game. Coming up in just a moment as today's countdown continues.
To persuade you to fly United Airlines, we give you an extra dash of friendliness in everything. We call it friendly persuasion.
Now, you have a nice trip, and I'll see you when you get back.
Thank you. Well, I'll tell you something. That flight just came in, and if you turn around, you'll see just what you're looking for.
You turn this just the way you steer an automobile. And when we take off, I'll push this forward. It's called the throttle.
I understand this is your first flight, Mr. Anderson. My name's Betty, and if there's anything you'd like, I'd be glad to get it for you.
You don't have room for dessert, madame? Not even a little French pastry? Come on.
Friendly persuasion. That extra friendliness you find only in the friendly skies. Come try it.
Come fly with me, fly the friendly skies of United.
didn't come here to prove anything about the last Super Bowl or the one that we played, the first one. We're just here to really to play football for 60 minutes on Sunday. Sunday morning, about 7 o'clock, usually I'm in a very, very hard pain in the stomach. I mean, it's just I'm extremely nervous, and I like to be left alone, and I like to go off to myself and be alone. I don't like to talk to anybody if I can help it.
Well, the greatest thing, I'm not a guard or a tackle. I have to take them head on. They have to come and chase me, and I hope that I'm nifty enough where if they do come and get me, that they pull me down or get a glancing shot, and then by the time they do that, I hope I'm around 10 yards, maybe 50 yards down the field. If we can confuse them and beat them, I'll be very happy. If we don't confuse them and beat them, I'll be happy again. But I hope we do something which will give us an edge where we can win.
It's the last AFL-NFL Super Bowl, and of course we were in the first one and were humiliated, so we'd like to have a chance to look a little better in this one. We have a great deal of respect for them. They're a physical team. For me, as a defensive end, of course, we're primarily responsible for keeping that great competitor Cap in the pocket and keep him from scrambling for touchdowns and or for yardage on key downs. And this is going to be tough for Aaron and myself.
They talk a lot, at least from reading in newspapers, about his wounded duck passes and his unorthodox style. But I tell you, if you get the job done, that's the greatest style in the world. You can't just brush an arm on him and throw him off stride. You really have to hit him good. He's not the type that's going to be get knocked down loose by an arm. Go back and look at our record. Look at our record through the football games that we've played this year. We've lost 3 football games the whole year, and I don't think that we have to apologize at all for being in the Super Bowl.
We was in the first one, and now we're in the last one. I just hope that we can be as fortunate as the Jets and take it back to Kansas City. If the championship game usually lost, it's usually lost. The press, other people will say at the cornerback position or the quarterback. They never say the line player or back or whatever.
I think we're a better football team this time than we were in 1966. I think that our record probably will kind of indicate that, particularly on defense. I think defensively we're more solid this time than we were the last time.
You don't even consider eating the day of the ball game. As a matter of fact, the last meal that you have on Saturday evening prior to a Sunday game had better be a pretty good one, because that's going to be your nourishment for the next 24 hours or so. You can't sleep the night before a ball game. It's virtually impossible. You must sleep 2 days before a ball game. The most nerve-wracking time, it's really murder.
The quarterback knows the loneliness of leadership. We'll be back in just a moment as today's countdown continues.
In Chicago, the Merchandise Mart is 95 cents from the Conrad Hilton. The Civic Center, $1.25. In San Francisco, Chinatown is a cable car ride from the Hilton, but so is Nob Hill and Fisherman's Wharf. In Washington, Pennsylvania Avenue is 6 minutes from the Hilton. The Embassy's 5, Georgetown 3. In New York, Broadway is exactly 250 steps from the Hilton. The Hiltons have gone out of their way so you don't have to go out of yours. Except out here, where at the Hilton Hawaiian Village, the Maui Hilton and the Kona Hilton are a quiet 2,400 miles out of everyone's way.
Whether you're in the town or on the town, come visit the Hilton.
The time for working and planning is just about run out, and so is our time for the prologue to this very special event. At this moment, both teams are in their dressing rooms, the stands are jammed, and the heralds are just about to blow their horns. Well, we have many heralds here today, for this is also a Super Bowl of musicians. Right now, behind me, the Southern University Band. And the big balloon race won by the National Football League balloon. The AFL balloon has not been inflated yet. And look out! The National Football League balloon, the only one to be inflated here, landing in the stands to the north end zone in the corner, and everybody apparently all right. Two of the biggest heralds here are two of the world's greatest trumpeters. Representing the AFL, Doc Severinsen, and representing the NFL, Al Hurt. Well, that's how it's been this Super Bowl week, and that's how it is right now at the 1970 Super Bowl. It's much like New Year's Eve in Times Square when that electric ball begins its descent. The champions of the AFL and the NFL are now waiting to be introduced to this capacity crowd at Tulane Stadium, and we'll be back with that here at the Super Bowl right after this pause for station identification.
The proverbial bull in a china shop has nothing on Lucy in a Chinese laundry. Share the laughter with Here's Lucy tomorrow on CBS.
CBS Television Sports presents the Super Bowl, the AFL-NFL World Championship game. Brought to you by New York Life Insurance Company and your local New York Life agent. And by Ford, who for the 9th consecutive year has been bringing you NFL football for your enjoyment. And by Kent. What a good time for the good taste of a Kent. And by Goodyear, the only maker of extra mileage polyglass tires.
Hello again. We're at the Sugar Bowl, Tulane Stadium in New Orleans. And it is time for the Super Bowl. Hi, I'm Jack Buck, Pat Summerall alongside, and believe it or not, there's one thing that hasn't been said about this game to this point.
Obviously, both coaches and both teams have a tremendous amount of respect for each other, but the thing that Jack Buck is referring to is something that Bud Grant told me during the week. And that is that Kansas City is the type of team, a physical team, a hitting team that Minnesota has had trouble with throughout the entire year. They expect a tough game.
And you know what the Vikings have accomplished to get here in the Super Bowl? We're going to meet the Minnesota team right now. The first to be introduced will be Gene Washington, their outstanding wide receiver, number 84. This fella caught 9 touchdown passes during this year. He's a Michigan State alumnus.
And he's the home run hitter of the Minnesota offense. Great speed, good hands, and he has really developed.
Gene Washington, number 84. This is Grady Alderman at left tackle on offense, number 67.
Alderman, the only member from the original expansion draft still left with a Minnesota team. Small for an offensive tackle, but very, very effective.
Number 63 is Jim Ballone, their left guard.
Ballone, 6'3", 255, the strongest member of the offensive front line.
And the perennial All-League Mick Tingelhoff at center, number 53.
Signed as a free agent from Nebraska.
Milt Sunday at number 64. He's their right guard.
The 20th draft choice, 6'2" and 250.
Ron Yeri, number 73 at right tackle.
Their first draft choice of last year.
Here's the tight end, John Beasley, played at California.
Beasley, a fine blocker with good size as well.
The other wide receiver is John Henderson from Michigan, number 80.
And like Gene Washington, he too has great speed.
Here's Joe Kapp, the Minnesota quarterback, number 11.
And what else need be said about him?
Dave Osborne, their best runner this year, number 41, played at North Dakota.
Had a great game last week against the Cleveland Browns.
Bill Brown, the 9-year veteran from Illinois, is number 30, and the remainder of the Vikings with their coach, Bud Grant. And so we have met the defensive unit of the National Football League champions, the Minnesota Vikings. And now the Kansas City Chiefs will be introduced. We start with the left defensive end, Jerry Mays, number 75.
One of 4 members of this Kansas City defensive unit who played in the 1966 Super Bowl.
Curly Culp is at left tackle, number 61.
6'1", 265, the quickest of the front 4 for Kansas City.
Here's the biggest man on the field, Buck Buchanan, number 86 at right tackle.
6'7" and 275 pounds from Grambling. He doesn't need to get the passer down. He can just stand up in front of him.
Number 87 is Aaron Brown, the right defensive end for the Chiefs.
6'5" and 265, and what a game he had last week against the Oakland Raiders.
Now we'll check the linebackers. And that's Bobby Bell, number 78 at the left side.
And Bud Grant, the Minnesota coach, said this is probably the finest linebacker in football.
In all of football, that is. And now the middle linebacker is Willie Lanier, number 63.
Tough hitter is Willie Lanier. In the middle, good speed, 6'1", 245, a 3-year man.
Here's a Notre Damer, Jim Lynch, number 51 at right linebacker.
This is a man that Oakland tried to work on last week without success, we might add. A fine outside linebacker.
At the left corner is a rookie, Jim Marcellus, number 40.
Kansas City's number 1 draft choice of this past year, a man who plays up close to the offensive receiver.
The strong safety is Jim Kearney, number 46.
Kearney, too, of course, with excellent speed. This is number 18, Emmett Thomas.
They've gone to the other cornerback. That's Thomas at the right corner. And now, this is Kearney, the strong safety, number 46 from Prairie View.
Kearney was the quarterback in college for the great receiver Otis Taylor.
And they are introducing Johnny Robinson. He may or may not play, number 42.
And a roar for Robinson, of course, because he is from LSU. Played his collegiate football there. He's the quarterback of their defensive unit.
The Kansas City Chiefs and Coach Hank Stram. Temperature is 53 degrees here in New Orleans, and they say no more rain after a very rainy morning. We'll be ready for the start of today's Super Bowl game in just a moment.
The World's Championship of Beer is on the air. Hi, everybody. This is Phil Rizzuto on a riverboat in the Mississippi. Let's go back to May '69, Yankee Stadium. Peel's Real Draft took on 3 leading beers for the Eastern Championship. The result, not one beer could beat Peel's Real Draft. Now, Peel's challenges 3 premium beers from the West in a dramatic taste test for the World's Championship of Beer. They came by the 100. Using unmarked glasses, they tasted and compared Peel's against the premium. And the result? Once again, Peel's could not be beat. Why did so many people prefer Peel's? We think it's simple. Peel's is real draft beer, and draft beer makes the difference. Get with a winner. Try Peel's Real Draft and the taste that can't be beat.
What a good time. What a good time for a Kent. What a good time. The good taste of Kent was meant for a day like today.
You got good taste made. It comes full-bodied through a filter that means smooth smoking. Get with Kent.
What a good time for a Kent.
In the center of the field, the representatives of the 2 teams and John McDonough, who's the referee, the Minnesota Vikings have won the toss, and they have elected to receive. Jim Lindsay for Minnesota, number 21, Grady Alderman, 67, and Jim Marshall, number 70, representing the Vikings, who, by the way, are the visiting team here today. And they have elected to receive Kansas City with Lenny Dawson, number 16, Jerry Mays, 75, Jim Tyre, 77, and Buck Buchanan, 86. And the Chiefs are the home team for this Super Bowl game. In the stands today are some of our astronauts from Apollo 11. And on the playing field, John Mackey, the outstanding receiver and tight end of the Baltimore Colts, who is the president of the National Football League Players Association, has a presentation to make to the astronauts from Apollo 12. And they are Alan Bean, Pete Conrad, and Dick Gordon. They are here today, and they are to be honored by the National Football League Players Association.
2 astronauts, Captain Charles Conrad, Captain Richard Gordon, and Captain Alan Bean.
3 captains and 3 astronauts, Alan Bean, Pete Conrad, and Dick Gordon, receive a standing ovation from those here in the Sugar Bowl. And we have about 80,000. We'll get the figure, of course, before the afternoon is over. And our 3 national heroes from Apollo 12 are on the playing field and being given a presentation by John Mackey of the Baltimore Colts. When this is completed, Mr. Pat O'Brien, he of Notre Dame motion picture fame, will recite our national anthem.
And a lifetime membership in our new National Football League.
We're going to hear the Stars and Stripes, and then the national anthem will be played by the Southern University Band, which is from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. John Mackey with his presentations to the 3 astronauts. Added spice to the wooing here for the Super Bowl game. And now the Southern University Band will be featured.
Ladies and gentlemen, Doc Severinsen, Pat O'Brien.
Doc Severinsen will join the group that I have already mentioned to you. Mr. Kelly James is directing the Southern University Band. And now our national anthem.
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. How say does that star-spangled banner? It waves for the land of the free and the hope of the brave.
A thrilling moment here at the Super Bowl with Pat O'Brien, Doc Severinsen, and the Southern University Band. Now the field will be cleared in a hurry. The two teams go back to their final huddle, and Kansas City will be kicking off to the Vikings. And Pat Summerall, that initial momentum is so important in a game like this because even though the emotions are not running high for sure on the part of both clubs, this momentum is not an automatic thing.
Certainly isn't, and that moment of excitement continues until that first contact is made. We might tell you that is John Stenerud, of course, back to receive for Minnesota. Clinton Jones is number 26, and Charlie West is number 40. Stenerud will be kicking off with the wind at his back. Temperatures in the mid-50s. We had rain this morning. We expect no more.
Stenerud should get the ball to the goal line, and you can see that the two receivers, Clinton Jones and Charlie West, who are both very dangerous, are in the end zone waiting. The referee, John McDonough, says, let her go. And we hope you enjoy the Super Bowl from New Orleans here on CBS. Jan Stenerud booms one deep into the end zone. And over the end line goes Charlie West, and the Vikings will run from the 20-yard line. By the way, Charlie West, of whom you'll see a lot before this day is over, is considered perhaps the best athlete on this Minnesota club. There are so many outstanding players to tell you about. We're going to do our best as we go along. First, we'll set the Minnesota offense. Joe Kapp, number 11. Dave Osborne is back there with him as a running back, number 41. Bill Brown, number 30. We'll check the wide receivers. Gene Washington is number 84, and he comes to the right side, and John Henderson goes left. The tight end, John Beasley, is on the left side. Our first play from scrimmage goes to Dave Osborne, and he got about 3 yards as he tried to slide along the line of scrimmage and find some running room. And one of the hits was made by Emmett Thomas, who came up from the corner, and Johnny Robinson is not starting for the Chiefs.
Now, this is something that, as you look at the Kansas City defense, it's sort of a new defense for Minnesota to look at, in that there'll always, or about 65% of the time, I should say, there will be a man in front of the offensive center. Now they go to a regular standard type 4-3.
Osborne picked up 2. It's 2nd and 8. Now the wide receivers have switched sides, and here's our first pass. And it's to the trailer, Osborne, who gets a first down at the 32-yard line. And Minnesota does like to throw to their running backs.
That particular time, Kansas City sent Jim Lynch back to help Emmett Thomas in the coverage of Gene Washington, who was set to that side. Lynch had to drop off and then pick up Osborne. Both of those two setbacks, Brown and Osborne, are good receivers.
Did you say that Oakland tried to work on Lynch last week?
That's what we were told, and Lynch did an excellent job. Charlie Smith caught some in front of him early in the game, but Lynch shut him off pretty much after that.
Willie Lanier came over from the middle linebacker to help Lynch on that last play. He'll pick up at 10 yards to the 32, 1st and 10. Henderson right, Washington left, and Brown runs with the ball for the first time, and Lynch wrapped him up. The linebacker was right there with the defensive end, and even though Bill Brown did get by Aaron Brown, number 87, Lynch was there for the stop on the play. Well, it looked like that play did very little, but actually picked up 3 yards, 2nd and 7.
That's the kind of runner both Brown and Osborne are. As you get a look at the Kansas City bench, it'll look like they're stopped at the line of scrimmage, but they are so strong themselves, when they unpile, they'll have 2 or 3 yards.
From the 35-yard line, 2nd and 7, Washington left, Henderson right. Beasley, the tight end, is on the right side. Little off at center. Cap straight back on 2nd down. He's running and throwing, and it is caught by Beasley, the tight end. 45, 40, 39-yard line. Cap looked like he was in big trouble, but he showed you a quick release, and they keep criticizing his quarterbacking, but he always seems to get it done. Jim Lynch made the tackle again along with Lanier.
And Cap showed you also that time that tremendous ability that he does have. Beasley, without doubt, was not his first choice as a receiver. He started to come out of the pocket, He saw Beasley open, and he got the ball to him.
Pat, you could see the Kansas City defense react to those 2 quick steps that Caps took also.
Well, they are, of course, in addition to being a tremendous defensive front four, very quick.
The ball to the 39-yard line for a first down for Minnesota. It's their second of the afternoon. Kansas City faking the blitz. And Osborne running behind Milt Sunday, and he's stopped for a loss of a yard on the play. That front four of the Kansas City Chiefs is tough, and Jim Kearney, the safety man, number 46, came up to help them out. They're about as solid up front as any football club could be.
And just about as big as any football club could be, too. Jerry Mays, Curly Culp, Buck Buchanan, Aaron Brown. As I look now, Johnny Robinson is in the Kansas City secondary, Jack.
Johnny Robinson is number 42, and he's playing that free safety, and he's a valuable member of these Chiefs. The ball is at the 38, second down and 9. Kansas City has stopped the first down plays. Second down plays have hurt them, and here's another. A little swing out here to Bill Brown. And what a good hit was made by the linebacker, but Brown broke the tackle, and he got away from the outside linebacker Bobby Bell, and Jerry Mays made the tackle. Bill Brown didn't gain much yardage, but he avoided the loss. He got back to the line of scrimmage, and it's 3rd and 9.
And I'll tell you something. He got away from Bobby Bell, who is supposed to be and is, without doubt, one of the finest open field tacklers anywhere in football. Brown got away from a tough man when he got away from Bell. 3rd and 10 now. Kansas City, not a team that's known to blitz a lot. But they might come this time to try to get Fred Cox out of field goal range. If he tried from here, it'd be about 46 yards.
And he would be kicking into the wind, and so this is a very important third down, as all third downs are. We're here early in the game, no score. The Chiefs haven't touched the ball. 3rd and 9, and the fake running play. Cap rolls left and throws, and Beasley couldn't hang on. Beasley was in heavy traffic. He's the one that caught the pass earlier, and as you would expect, it was the strong safety staying with him, Jim Kearney, and it's 4th down.
And that's something that you'll also see Kansas City do quite a bit of. That rollout, that short rollout is what Kansas City calls it, what Minnesota calls it. Kansas City calls it their famous moving pocket, but it's the same type of maneuver.
And if they're rolling while the other team is blitzing, that's when things happen.
And that's when he can get away from the blitz if he's quick enough, and both quarterbacks are.
It's a punting situation, and Bob Lee, who averaged 40 yards per punt during the year, is the kicker. And Mike Garrett goes deep, along with McVeigh, number 6. That one was almost blocked. The ball bounces out of bounds inside the 20-yard line. It didn't appear that the punter was anxious to get the ball up in the air for the Kansas City receivers. This telecast is presented by authority of the National and American Football Leagues. It is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the National and American Football Leagues is prohibited. Kansas City Chiefs are on offense now with their quarterback, Lenny Dawson, number 16. We'll have Mike Garrett back there with him, number 21, and Robert Holmes, number 45. They come out and line up in the eye as they usually do. And we'll see if they shift. They do. And do a relatively standard T formation. And Holmes is the first to carry the ball for the Chiefs. Robert Holmes, number 45. Listen when I give you the statistics on Holmes. 5'9" and 220 pounds.
You might have noticed just before that play started that number 29 for Minnesota, Carl Koselke, had lined up on the wrong side of the field and had to make a last-minute adjustment. This is just what Kansas City hopes to do with those last-minute shifts that they do when they line up in the eye and then send the receivers to the outside. Koselke, for the most part of today, will wind up covering Otis Taylor with some help, no doubt.
2nd down and 7 from the 20-yard line for the Chiefs. Arbanis, the tight end, goes to the right side. Otis Taylor is also to the right side, and Dawson goes to the air. And Garrett caught across the 30 and out of bounds at the 37-yard line, and we have seen comparable patterns from both teams throwing to those backs coming out of the backfield.
One of the few mistakes that you'll see made by a defense, as Garrett was wide open as he came out of the backfield. He had to be covered by one of the linebackers because the wide receiver, Pitts, went deep. So it should have been Hilgenberg's man.
And Schrockman had to come up from the corner to make the tackle. Hilgenberg, by the way, number 58, has the best range of any of the Minnesota linebackers, but he was taken out of that play, and it's at the 36, a first down for the Chiefs. Arbanis to the right side with Otis Taylor. Number 25, Frank Pitts, was tight on the left side. And Holmes, whom they call the Tank, goes straight ahead for a couple. He ran into Alan Page, number 88. Page is number 88. Gary Larson plays the other tackle, number 77. Carl Eller at left defensive end, number 81. And Jim Marshall at the right defensive end, closest to you now, number 70. It's a second down play, 2nd and 7 for Kansas City. No score, 9:45 left in the first quarter. They'll run out of this power I, but they shift this time. Vanis and Taylor to the right side. Dawson to Garrett. Garrett on that slant with those fast feet of his, and he crossed the 40-yard line. Gary Larson wrapped him up, tackled him. But you could see there that Garrett can really blow through that line, and the Minnesota coach, Bud Grant, was talking about these small, shifty running backs of the Chiefs.
Talking about how they hide behind that tremendous front line of Kansas City. Except for the center holdup, they're all 6'5" or bigger. The biggest around in any business. Garrett, you might recall if you watched the Super Bowl in 1966, gave Green Bay a lot of trouble throughout the day.
3rd down and 2.5 from the 44. And Dawson hits Pitts with a pass and down the sideline. Inside the 40 to the 35-yard line before Wally Hilgenberg, number 58, tackled him. That was 3rd and short yardage in the first surprise call of the day.
Pitts, of course, has great speed. Here he is being covered by Shirachman. Just a quick turnout, and Shirachman come up just in time to have Pitts spin away from him.
It's no secret that they intend to work on Shirachman because Bobby Bryant usually plays that corner. Shirachman lost his job to Bryant, but Bryant is out and not in uniform today. A first down from the 36. Dawson is Roy Winston, and he did not miss, did he? A first down blitz, and Roy Winston came blowing in.
What a play he made. Watch him jump over the offensive blocker. That's Holmes. We told you he was short. Winston, 60, comes right over the top. Dawson had no chance.
That's a flying blitz on the part of Roy Winston, who, by the way, is only 5'11", and one of the shortest linebackers in pro football. A substantial loss back to the 44-yard line, making it 2nd down and 18. They told us, Pat, that Dawson had a tremendous week of practice.
Without doubt, he had a lot on his mind throughout this week, but in talking to the coaches before the game and during the week, they say that they have never seen him throw the ball better.
He'll be throwing now, in all probability, on 2nd and 18. Otis Taylor wide to the right, Pitts is split left. The draw to Garrett. The tackle was made by Alan Page, and because he made the tackle on a draw play, it points out his role in that front four of the Vikings.
There's Jim Valone along the Viking bench, the offensive guard. Page, whom Jack Buck was just talking about, is sort of the policeman of the Minnesota front four. He plays the draw and the screen extremely well as giving them a good inside pass rush.
The ball is at the Minnesota 41-yard line. The blitz really changed that around a while ago, didn't it? And it's 3rd down and 15 for the Chiefs. This first period is half over. Dawson, good protection, swings one out, and it was batted down, I think, by Jim Marshall that got his hands up. And it is a 4th down play. The clock is stopped with 6:57 remaining in the first quarter and no score.
And keep in mind that the Kansas City field goal kicker has the wind at his back. That's John Stenerud. He has kicked him well over this long. In fact, the one that he tied Lou Groza's record for during the year, that is with the 12 consecutive field goals, he wound up with 16. The one that tied the record was from 52 yards out, so he can reach it. This will be from about 48.
Dawson holding. Stenerud kicked 27 out of 35 this year. But Stenerud booms it there, and it's good. Kansas City goes out in front, and Dawson did a great job of getting that ball down on a snap that came into his midsection. The score, Kansas City 3, Minnesota nothing. Back with the Chiefs kickoff in just a moment.
More people ride on Goodyear tires than on any other kind. That was true even in 1915. Roads were rough, and Goodyear had developed cord tires made with cotton cord to stand up to them. 1938, higher legal speeds, So Goodyear developed the first rayon cord tire for a smooth ride. 1947, more horsepower, more punishment. Goodyear developed the first nylon cord tire for extra strength. Today's driving demands more. So Goodyear developed the long mileage polyglass tire, now on many of the new 1970 cars. No wonder, for 55 consecutive years, more people ride on Goodyear tires than on any other kind.
That was a record Super Bowl field goal kicked by Stenerud. Pat Summerall will fill you in on it in a moment. Stenerud kicking off now, and the deep men for the Vikings are Clinton Jones, number 26, closest to you, and Charlie West, number 40, at the top of your screen. You'll recall that Stenerud kicked it deep into the end zone on the opening kickoff. Minnesota subsequently had to punt. Kansas City turned it into 3 points. Stenerud does it again. Pretty consistent, isn't he? The same spot. West takes it. Tell us about the field goal, Pat.
You did say, Jack, that it was a record field goal for the Super Bowl of 48 yards. The record had been held by Don Chandler of 43 yards, set Green Bay against Oakland in 1968.
Seen anything unusual in the first offensive maneuvers on the part of either club?
Just the fact that there is Stenerud, just the fact that both clubs seem to have the ability to move the ball against the other team's defense. That surprises us a little bit, because that was supposed to be the strong facet of each team.
And now Cap with Osborne and with Bill Brown. Gene Washington to the left side as a wide receiver. John Henderson to the right side. Beasley also to the right. And Cap on a delay to Brown. And he gets only a couple. Buck Buchanan, number 86, met him head on. He is the biggest man on the field at 6'7", 275, and Kearney helped him out. Well, tonight on CBS, To Roam with Love. And then Ed Sullivan swings in with Tiny Tim and his new wife, Miss Vicky. Topping off your Super Sunday, there's more good music and comedy. The Glenn Campbell Good Time Hour, followed by Mission Impossible. All of that later this evening on CBS. Second 7, Minnesota, in their own 23. Look out, Joe Cap, and down he goes with Jerry Mays, the defensive end, getting to him, along with Curly Culp, number 61, the defensive tackle. Third down, long yardage.
And we'll take a look now at that Kansas City rush. 75 is Mays, 61 is Culp. And Culp should be the first man on the scene. It's 75 Mays and then Culp. Mays got by Urey on the right side. 86 arriving a little late is Buck Buchanan.
The ball is at the 17-yard line. It is third down and 13. Washington to the left, Henderson right. 3-0 Kansas City in the Super Bowl. Bill Brown. And the defensive end trailed out there with him. Aaron Brown slowed him down, then got the help that he needed. And the Vikings will punt for the second time this afternoon.
That particular time, Kansas City had put in a fifth defensive back, and I think that defense that Kansas City is using, with a man over the offensive center to occupy him, either Culp or Buchanan, might be causing the Vikings a little bit of trouble with their assignment.
This is Bob Lee standing at his 11-yard line. Garrett and McVay are deep for the Chiefs. They're at their own 30. Kicking into the wind, a big rush. And the flag goes down. They got the kicker, and a return on the part of number 22, Willie Mitchell. But this play is going to go back, and roughing the kicker will be called as the Chiefs put on the big rush and did not touch the football, which is the necessary item.
And this is going to be a challenge to the Kansas City defense, because this is the time you crack a defense, when they have to stay in a long time. We'll take another look at that, and you can see Lee's got his leg up, and he's hit by a swarm. I can't tell. It looks like 2 or 3 make contact.
Curly Culp, I believe, is the one who got to the kicker, actually. And a major penalty brings the ball out to the Minnesota 41, and it's an automatic first down. And the Vikings will go from there. We pause 5 seconds for station identification. First down, Vikings. Henderson right. Washington is split left. And on first down, the fake to Osborne. The pass out to Brown. And a good tackle was made by Kearney. The strong safety was right with him. That's one of the attributes that Bill Brown has of the Minnesota Vikings, his ability to catch the football, which is unusual sometimes in a fellow his size.
Gives us an opportunity to point out, too, that although both of these defensive units are very strong, there is one basic difference. Kansas City is basically a man-to-man defense in the secondary. Minnesota is primarily a zone defensive team.
That play picked up only 1 yard, 2nd and 9 from their 42 for Minnesota. Washington left, Henderson right. And Cap back to the air. And swings it to the other side to Osborne, and look at that pursuit. There was the linebacker, Jim Lynch, picking him up. Remember earlier when Osborne caught a similar pass and he was all alone, Lynch wasn't there. He was there that time. How's Cap doing in the passing department, Pat?
He's completed 4 out of 6 for a total of 38 yards, far below his average completion yardage. Pretty good indication, too, here that the Kansas City linebackers are doing an excellent job as you look at offensive tackle Jim Tyre.
The ball is at the Minnesota 44. It's 3rd down and 7. Henderson right, Washington left. Beasley, the tight end, on the right side. And incomplete as Henderson, well, they say he was ridden out by the defense, and there's the difference. Now, he did not get both feet down in bounds, but he was ridden out of bounds by the defense and a completed pass at midfield.
He was hit by 2 defenders. It appeared Jim Marcellus, number 40, the cornerback, hit him first. Henderson, we'll take another look at it right now. Just a simple sideline maneuver. Marcellus fell down. He was hit by Bobby Bell, the linebacker, and by Marcellus, and they took him out of bounds. Kearney was also in on the action.
So even though he completed the pass, it's not a first down, and it's 4th and 1 at midfield, and Bob Lee is punting again. We'll watch the rush. Lee handled the high snap. And Kansas City lets the ball roll, and it's into the end zone. It'll come out to the 20-yard line. A great effort was made to bat the ball back by Hackbart and keep it from going into the end zone, but the Chiefs will go from their own 20-yard line. There's a timeout, and with the score, Kansas City 3, Minnesota nothing. Let's pause for a moment.
Ford's Maverick. With everything else going up, is it a fact that Maverick is still $19.95?
Yep.
And is it a fact that Maverick is the best-selling new car since Mustang?
Yep.
They call Maverick the simple machine. Have Maverick owners found they can do a lot of maintenance and repair work themselves?
Yep.
Is it a fact that the $19.95 price includes the sporty flipper windows, the armrests, the courtesy lights, the self-adjusting brakes, the special rust proofing?
Yep.
$19.95, huh? Is that the only way Ford dealers are fighting the price rise?
Nope.
Now, during your Ford dealer's white sale, there are extra savings on Torinos, too, a special edition of our lowest-priced hardtop. And there are white sale savings on specially equipped Galaxy 500 hardtops, the lowest-priced full-size V8 hardtop in America. So see them all, Torinos and Galaxies, now during your Ford dealer's white sale, on for a limited time.
Joe Camp along the sideline talking it over with Henderson. He was talking with Gary Quazzo a while ago. And now the Chiefs from their own 20. The Chiefs are leading 3-0. Otis Taylor to the right. Shifting out of the eye. That's a fake to Holmes. Garrett slipped and fell. The pass is caught by Pitts beyond the 35-yard line. Garrett, I think, was the primary receiver, Pat, and he slipped and fell when he headed for the sideline, and Dawson picked up Holmes down the middle.
And we can take another look at it right now. Frank Pitts with that great speed, 75, as he is getting past the chuck of Wally Hilgenberg. Bounced off Lonnie Warwick, the middle linebacker, and by that time, Dawson had the ball there.
Paul Krause made the tackle at the 40, a first down for Kansas City. Frank Pitts caught that last one. Here's the quickie out here. Otis Taylor, and he draws a lot of people. But a big gain on the play. Paul Krause, the tackler, once again.
For the most part, Minnesota plans to roll their zone so they can double cover Otis Taylor. That could be one of the reasons for the success of Frank Pitts so far, the Minnesota bench.
Pickup of 9 on the pass to Otis Taylor, and Dawson is holding a hot hand here in the early going of the Super Bowl. 2:06 remaining in the first quarter. Second down and 1. Holmes and Garrett in the eye. Second man Garrett. First down, Kansas City crossing midfield. Gary Larson, the tackler, but did not prevent the first down. There's Hank Stram, who's trying to gain a little revenge, Pat, for an earlier game in the Super Bowl.
That was the first one, the 1966 Super Bowl, Green Bay, Kansas City. Green Bay won 35-10. We might say things have been happening so fast here that we might tell you that there are a few wet spots on the field. We might be seeing some defenders or receivers slipping down. It rained almost all morning here in New Orleans. Hasn't rained for the last couple of hours.
Ball at the 49. Urbanus goes to the right side and Pitts splits left. Dawson to Garrett. Garrett broke 2 tackles, and then he was finally stopped by Gary Larson. He showed you those fast-moving feet of his, and he changed directions 3 different times.
Let's take a look at it again. Ed Buddy, number 71, leading. And it's a trap on the linebacker on that side. It's a trap on Carl Eller, I beg your pardon. And a fine block it was by Ed Buddy, number 71, and some fine running by Mike Garrett.
Garrett is 5'9", 190 from USC, now in his 4th year. The ball is at the 43-yard line. As Garrett picked up 5 yards, it's second down and 5. Pitts to the left. Otis Taylor to the right. On a delay to Holmes. Down he goes. Carl, number 88, Alan Page, who gives the Vikings that big inside rush, ran right into the delay, and we told you earlier, Pat did, that Page is the policeman on those draw plays and screen passes. We have only 10 seconds left in the first quarter. And Kansas City will not run a play before the gun sounds. The scoreboard clock is official. There's the gun. That's the end of the first quarter with the score, Kansas City 3 and Minnesota nothing.
Newport cigarettes. Carefully selected blend, chilled with just the right amount of refreshing menthol. Refreshing taste is what Newport's all about. Newport. Menthol chill. Remarkably refreshing taste.
The smoothest way is the best way. Captain Ed McNeil, American Airlines.
We have about 5 to 10 weathermen, that meteorologists, that give us a rundown on what the possible weather is to be encountered. And personally, I don't care whether it's rough, but I know the people do, so I want a smooth ride. And I feel if people fly on a smooth ride and fly with American, they're going to come back.
Make yourself at home the American way.
Pat Summerall's alongside. I'm Jack Buck. We start the second quarter of the Super Bowl. The ball is at the Vikings 48, and it's 3rd and 9 for Kansas City. The only scoring in the first quarter, a 48-yard field goal by Jan Stenerud. Here's the fake draw. Down the middle pass, and incomplete. Look at those flags come down as interference is called. Ed Shirachman came over the top and drew the flags as interference is called against Minnesota.
And again, Dawson was looking for Frank Pitts, number 25, with a good speed and getting single coverage for the most part from Shirachman. And you could see that some contact was made before the ball got there.
Shirachman got him with the body. John McDonough is the referee. He's from the American Football League. Lou Palazzi, the umpire from the NFL. Headlinesman Harry Kessel from the American Football League. Bill Schleibaum of the NFL is the line judge. Field judge Charlie Musser of the AFL, and the back judge Tom Kelleher of the National Football League. First down pass to the side, and it is caught by the big man Taylor. And he is being covered by Ursel McBee, number 46, who made the tackle. Taylor is a tough man when he latches onto that football. He's 6'3", 215. Pat, you'd have to rank him 1, 2, 3 as the best pass receiver in pro football.
Just about everybody you talk to about Otis Taylor would tell you that. Dawson is throwing the football. We told you he had a good week in practice. Boy, he's sharp so far. He's hit 5 out of 6 for a total of 73 yards.
And he has the Chiefs at the Minnesota 24. Second down. 3.5. Pitts is wide left. Arvanis to the same side. And a little confusion as Dawson ran into Holmes. Holmes didn't go deep enough on the handoff, and it'll be 3rd down and longer yardage. Pat, I suppose it would amount to an editorial, but to this point you'd have to say that Kansas City is taking the game to them.
Certainly would appear so far. The offensive line for Kansas City is doing an excellent job of protecting Dawson.
More football next week on CBS, the Pro Bowl game, the East versus the West next Sunday. And you'll see the game at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time here on CBS from Los Angeles. It's now 3rd down and 4. Dawson throwing into the end zone to Taylor and broken up by McBee, who is peeved that he didn't pick it off. McBee, who intercepted 6 times this year, had a crack at it, but with it all, it's a good thing he kept it away from Taylor.
It certainly is. Taylor lost his shoe. You might have seen something flying off in the end zone that looked like a flag, but there is no flag. It was Taylor's shoe which came off. I think if Dawson had been able to pick up Taylor a little bit sooner, he might have had a touchdown because he was open early.
The ball is at the 25, and here's Jan Stenerud to try to make it 6-0. 13:24 left in the half.
And Stenerud's got the disadvantage here of kicking out of one of those muddy spots. This will be 32 yards.
Dawson will spot it. Stenerud kicks it. Good. 6-0 Kansas City. 6-0 Kansas City, and back with the Chiefs kickoff in just a moment.
The day, beautiful. The gal, beautiful too. And the snow couldn't be better. Beautiful. Really beautiful. On a day like this, you want everything beautiful. And that goes for your beer, too. So it has to be Schmidt's of Philadelphia. Brewmaster blended. It's one beautiful beer.
Schmidt's, one beautiful beer. Schmidt's, one beautiful beer. Blended crisp and dry and light. Blending makes it always right. Schmidt's, one beautiful beer.
Beautiful.
Jan Stenerud, number 3, has provided all 6 points in this game. The last one, a 32-yard field goal. The first one, a 48-yarder. 6-0 Kansas City. 13:20 left in the half. And the deep men for Minnesota, Clinton Jones, number 26 at the top, and Charlie West, number 40. This time, Stenerud kicking into the wind. And we'll have a run back by West, who takes it on the fly at the 15-yard line. 25 and crosses the 30. And a fumble, and we'll see if the whistle had blown or not. Evidently, the Vikings still keep the football. Curtis McClinton made the tackle, number 32. The ball was fumbled, but the whistle had blown. From the 32-yard line, the Vikings will go trailing 6-0. There's McClinton, who made the tackle, and he's upset about that fumble situation. Washington to the right, Henderson to the left for the Vikings, with Beasley on the left side. Still Brown and Osborne. And that's Osborne. And Curly Culp had the ball carrier run right into his arm. Listen to the figures on Culp, who's number 61. He is 6'1" and weighs 265.
And he's supposed to be the quickest of the front 4. There he is in the middle of the defensive huddle. That particular time, Culp was lined up in front of the offensive center for Minnesota, Mick Tingelhoff. And that's the defense that we talked about that Minnesota is not used to looking at. It occupies the center, who usually is sort of an optional blocker.
Culp is a wrestler in addition to pro football player, and he wrestled Osborne down, 2nd down and 10. Still from the 32. Cap throwing, and a fumble by Henderson. Kansas City has the football as Johnny Robinson picked it up. That's the reason they were so anxious to get this veteran in there. He was over there helping out as a free safety, and he got the fumble.
You can see that Henderson is wide open. He's working against Marcellus. He gets the single coverage. They're doubling Washington. Just a simple turn in. He's hit hard by Marcellus. Robinson on the recovery.
And Bill Brown came back to make the tackle. So the Chiefs, leading 6-0, get the ball at the Minnesota 46-yard line. And additional momentum swings over to the underdogs here in the Super Bowl. Otis Taylor to the right. Arbanis comes to the right side. Pitts is split left. Now we have Garrett being tackled. So the Minnesota defense starts to hold forth a little bit. Alan Page, the tackler, number 88, and Wendell Hayes is in there for Kansas City. And we can tell you something about Hayes. There's Henderson, who caught the ball and then fumbled it, trying to drag himself out of the depths. He'll have ample time before this game is over. Wendell Hayes, number 38 in the Kansas City backfield, 6'1", 220, fifth year from Humboldt State. He's in the middle of that power I. Dawson throwing long for Taylor. Intercepted. Paul Krause went up and got it. So both free safeties have been in the picture here. That's Krause, who's 6'3", and he went up with Taylor and made the interception.
Krause is that free safety that Jack Buck mentioned to you. Looks like Taylor is open, but Krause has great range, good hands, and as he said, 6'3".
There's the timeout, and with the score, Kansas City 6, Minnesota nothing. Let's pause for a moment.
Cheryl Smith, telephone reservationist, American Airlines.
Whereas a number of airlines do not use Sabres, so therefore they have file cards and they can be misplaced. All we need is a flight number, date, and their last name, and it's automatically pulled up in the computer. It's just beautiful. It's wonderful. I don't know how any other airline works without it. It's really great.
Make yourself at home the American way.
The Goodyear Custom Wide Tread Polyglass Tire.
I've got 38,000 on the tires right now, and if I was to stick a dime in between the treads, the dime would be halfway covered up.
I've got 41,000 miles on my polyglass, and it's still got real good tread.
If it doesn't say Goodyear, it can't be Polyglass.
Paul Krause, who intercepted 5 times during the regular season, just picked one off here to give Minnesota the ball at their own 7. With Brown and Osborne, Cap calls the signals. And Osborne. He drives out to the 10-yard line for a pickup of 3. Pat, you know who feels best of all about Minnesota getting the ball back is Henderson, who dropped that ball a while ago and committed the fumble. There's Krause, who came up with the interception. You can see on the playing field the official moving the ball out of an extremely muddy spot. And of course, they do that for both clubs. And he moves it to the hash mark. 2nd, 7, Minnesota at their own 10. Henderson right, Washington left. Cap throwing long for Washington. And incomplete. What a battle between Emmett Thomas, number 18, and Gene Washington. And there's that high arching pass that they talk about from Joe Cap. He threw that ball from the goal line, threw it about 60 yards.
And here it is again from behind Gene Washington, working against number 18, Emmett Thomas. They call this a fly, and Washington can fly. With that tremendous jumping ability he has, we've seen a lot of completions by Cap and Washington during the year like that. But Thomas did an excellent job. There he is.
Thomas is playing the right corner. Now Joe Cap needs 7 yards. Washington, who just ran that pass pattern, is out. And Bob Grimm, is in his stead to the right side. A flag, too much time. That'll move the ball back to the 5-yard line. half the distance and make it 3rd down and 12.
And the reason for that penalty is that the Kansas City linebackers, Bell, Lynch, and Lanier, 63, right in the middle of your picture right now, were moving around, changing their defense or making Joe Kapp think that they were changing their defense. He called an automatic at the line of scrimmage and took too much time in doing so.
It's called a procedure penalty against the Vikings. We have 10:22 remaining in the half. Kansas City is leading 6-0 on 2 Stenerud field goals. And now Joe Kapp needs 12 yards on this 3rd down play. He still has Bob Grimm in there to the right side. John Henderson to the left. From the end zone, behind the goalpost, Kapp throws on the run for Grimm, and incomplete. And staying right with Grimm step for step was Jim Marcellus, number 40, the rookie cornerback. It's not very often in pro football that a first-year man comes in and takes over the cornerback spot, but Marcellus did. Well, the ever-popular Harlem Globetrotters return to CBS with a special. Actually, it's called The Road to Mexico, covering a trip that the Globetrotters made, and you'll see the Globetrotters on the 24th, Saturday, 7:30, 6:30 Central Time. Curly Neal, Meadowlark Lemon, and the others. Always a great show. Here's Bob Lee punting from the end zone. Mike Garrett and Willie Mitchell are deep inside their 45. Kansas City rush, not too concerted. Here's Garrett being blasted at the 44-yard line. Fortunately for the Chiefs, he held onto the football, and Mick Tingelhoff was downfield to make the tackle. But the Chiefs have good field position. There's a timeout with a score. Kansas City 6, Minnesota nothing. Let's pause for a moment.
Kathy Shield, stewardess, American Airlines. Kathy told us a story about a passenger she fell in love with.
One little boy, I really loved him. He was traveling alone, and his name was David. And while we were on the plane, I almost became his mother. And as we were getting off the plane, I was taking him to meet his family. He turned and looked at me, and he said, with a big smile, "My grandma told me I'd find somebody like you on my flight, and I'm sure glad I did." And I was glad, too. And he said, and my daddy always told me if somebody was nice to me that I should give him a kiss. Can I kiss you? And he really was just the sweetest thing, and I loved him.
Kathy brings a little something extra to her job. That's the American way.
So just make yourself at home the American way.
Kansas City Chiefs, who were stopped the last time they had the ball by a pass interception, take over again at the Viking 44 with a 1st down. Line up in that power I and a rather tight tee. And they run from that, and here comes Pitts on the end around. McBee latches onto him, but not until he got to the 25-yard line, and it didn't take him long to get there, did it? He's the speed man on the Kansas City team.
And he was lined up at tight end. We'll take another look at it. You'll see Pitts at the top of your screen, 25. The motion starts in the other direction. Good fake by the setbacks. Out in front is Moorman. Kansas City taking advantage, I think, of the tremendous pursuit which Carl Eller always puts when the play goes in the opposite direction. Tackle finally by McBee and Krause, 22.
The ball at the 25 for a Kansas City 1st down. Boy, that play really blew out of there. Somebody evidently moved, and it was Page. Page is claiming that he was drawn offside. We'll see what the final result is. 5 yards to the 20, 1st and 5. We have 9:58 remaining in the half. Boy, Kansas City leading 6-0 now. Get any kind of a score here, Pat. Be in great shape.
Sure would. Kansas City showing a lot of poise. Minnesota appears to be a little bit on edge at the moment, wouldn't you say?
They appear to be. And that Kansas City shift might have drawn the Vikings that last time. It's 1st and 5 from the 20. Wendell Hayes shifts with Garrett. Urbanus goes to the left side. There's another busted play, the 2nd of the day for Kansas City. Dawson wanted to hand it off. Closest man to it was our cameraman. It'll be 2nd down and 5. Gary Larson made the tackle. The Minnesota defense. And along the sideline, the offense waiting to get back in there and get back into action. 26 is Clinton Jones. Number 35 is Bill Harris, who's on these specialty teams for the Vikings. Second down and 5. Taylor is split right only a couple of yards. Frank Pitts is wide to the left. And how about the tackle of Dawson after the handoff by Alan Page? He was right on top of Dawson, who was fortunate to get rid of the football to Wendell Hayes, who carried to the 19-yard line. Alan Page was really roaring in there, and Jim Marshall finally made the tackle on Wendell Hayes.
Page apparently still a little upset about that penalty called against him a few minutes ago. Dawson must have made an excellent fake. Hayes wound up with the football. They tell us that Hayes is the quickest of the 4 running backs that Kansas City utilizes. And when you're quicker than guys like McVay and Mike Garrett, you're pretty quick.
Third down and 4. Here's the delay to Hayes. He did not get the first down, and we'll see how the Chiefs play it. Will they try for a field goal for the third time? Wally Hilgenberg, the outside linebacker, along with Roy Winston, helping out up front, and Stenerud back into the game. Earlier, he kicked one for 48 yards for a Super Bowl record, added to it with a 32-yarder.
One bit of cause for alarm for Kansas City fans is that the offensive right tackle for their offensive unit, 73, Dave Hill, left the field limping that time. His backup man is Fred Arbanis. And if Arbanis has to play offensive tackle, well, we'll just have to see what happens.
They're changing a football. Kansas City team requested it, and the officials allowed them to do so. Dawson will hold it to 25, and Stenerud will try to make it 3 for 3. 7:57 left in the half. Good again. The score is now Kansas City 9, Minnesota nothing. And back with the Kansas City kickoff in just a moment.
Yeah, man. I'm your New York Life agent, and I came to offer you some happiness.
You putting me on, man?
No, not a bit.
Hey, honey, you wanna say that again, please?
I'm your New York Life agent, and I came to offer you some happiness.
Out of sight, Grover. Sit yourself down.
Look, wouldn't you be happier knowing your wife and child had basic financial security?
Yeah.
Or knowing your boy will be sure of funds for college?
Yeah.
Or being sure you'll have a retirement income as long as you live?
Well...
Now, that's the kind of happiness you get with New York Life Insurance. Dig?
Like New York Life is a groove, right?
Right.
Well, it makes you think. Another way to happy. Look, why don't you show me what you've got in you?
I'd like to point out here that each team is using their own league football. Two leagues have different footballs slightly. Stenerud kicking off, same deep men, Clinton Jones at the top, and Charlie West, number 40. Stenerud kicking into the wind, gets it up high. It'll be returned by Charlie West, who takes it, fumbles it. Kansas City has it. Kansas City has the football inside the 20-yard line. The last time Stenerud kicked off, West took it on the fly. I was surprised he caught it. He didn't this time.
He had to come a long way as that ball hung up there a long time. Stenerud kicked it against the wind. Looked as if it might have been recovered by number 65, Ramey Prudhomme.
It was Prudhomme who picked up the football at the 19-yard line for Kansas City. So after getting a field goal only 12 seconds ago, Kansas City gets the ball back again. Eddie Dawson calls the play. Otis Taylor goes to the left side along with Frank Pitts. They have their two fast wide receivers to the same side. And here's Dawson being belted by Jim Marshall. Number 70. What do they say about Marshall, Pat?
Of the front four, possibly in football, Marshall, number 70, is the quickest off the ball. For an offensive tackle who hasn't played against him, he'll be by you before you realize it.
He caused a loss of 7 yards, second down, 17.
By the way, we might tell you that Dave Hill, who we thought might have been injured just a bit on the last series of downs when Kansas City had the ball, is back. So the problem we anticipated did not materialize.
Hill is number 73 at right tackle. E.J. Hollop at center, Mormon and Buddy at the guards, and Tyre and Hill at the tackles. Here's the delay to Hayes. Hayes to the 15-yard line. That's what Pat Summerall meant earlier when they talked about how quick Wendell Hayes is. Roy Winston tackled it.
Excellent call by Dawson, too. Second and long yardage, an excellent block in front by E.J. Hollop, the offensive center.
Hollop ran Larson right out of there, didn't he?
He certainly did. Finally, the tackle made by Winston, and Hayes, in addition to being quick, obviously is very strong.
The ball's at the 14, and it's 3rd down and 5. Now they shift out of the I. Urbanus to the right side. Dawson rolling right, throwing end zone to the 5-yard line. It'll be a 1st down as it's caught by Otis Taylor. Otis Taylor had been to the goal line, and he came back to receive that one.
What a job he did to get his feet down in bounds. That could give you some indication of the kind of body control he possesses, as he did a tremendous job to get his feet down without being out of bounds. What a strike by Dawson.
What a day he's having, Pat. His figures now read how?
6 out of 9 for a total of 83 yards.
1st and goal from the 4. Minnesota allowed only 6 touchdowns on the ground all year. Hayes and Garrett in the I. Dawson to Garrett. Nothing doing. The whistle blows as he is wrapped up by Marshall and Larson, with Marshall the primary tackler.
A lot of times when they get down in this area, the 5-yard line with 1st and goal or 2nd and goal, they'll run out of this set I formation. Urbanus might line up at a tight end. He might shift, but the other 2 setbacks will stay behind each other.
Dawson, who's been struggling with bad knees, carried the ball only once all year long.
There was some question during the week about his mobility, but certainly so far he's been, he's been getting a great job done.
2nd and goal from the 5. Kansas City already leading 9-0. Another busted play as he didn't get the snap quickly enough from Hollop, and it draws a flag. The backs had started to move as Dawson gave the snap call. Paul Dixon made the tackle on Dawson, and will check the penalty. That was 2nd and goal. They could make it 3rd and goal. Lester Richardson reports into the game for Kansas City. He's a wide receiver. Penalty is declined, and it's 3rd and goal from the 5-yard line. Pitts comes out. Richardson has replaced him. Richardson is number 30. They have 5:38 left in the half. Richardson goes left. Taylor is split right. Urbanus is on the left side, and here's Garrett slanting in. He ran by Dixon, the extra defensive lineman who was put in there, and went right in from the 5-yard line for the touchdown, and now it's 15-0 in favor of Kansas City.
Here it comes again. Trap block by Mormon. As he gets Page heading for the outside, Dixon can't catch up, and Garrett has great balance.
15-0 in favor of the Chiefs, and what a jubilant sideline scene we show you. As Stenner Road will try to make it 16-0. We have 5:34 remaining in the half, and Minnesota has been able to do very little.
You notice that Stennerud's kicking from a little angle. He's asked him to move the ball out of that extremely wet spot. Dawson holding.
Stenner Road has been perfect all afternoon. The score amounts to 16-0 Kansas City, and back with the Chiefs. Kickoff in just a moment.
It's just you and him. What a day. And when it's over, you know what tastes great?
Yeah, me and my Winstons, me and my Winstons, we got a real good thing, a real good taste. Yeah, me and my Winstons, we got a real good thing.
I'm a believer, I'm a believer, I'm a believer.
Amoco believers. In over 1,000 mileage showdowns, lead-free Amoco gasoline got bonus miles per tank full over the top competitive premiums. Make your own mileage test with lead-free Amoco, the believer's gasoline. And only American oil dealers have it.
About 80,000 on a comfortable day, but the National Football League fans are very uncomfortable at the moment. 5:34 remaining in the half. We're watching history in the making, and is history repeating itself? Clinton Jones and Charlie West are waiting for Stenerud's kick. High in the air, and Clinton Jones has West go in front of him, take it at the 6, 15, 20, 25, crosses the 30-yard line. West, who fumbled the last time, anxiously latching onto that football, and now the Vikings will try to get something done before halftime. National Hockey League action on CBS commenced today. Now next Sunday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time, you'll see the Los Angeles Kings versus the Detroit Red Wings. CBS today, our fans saw Montreal beat New York 4-1. The ball at the 32. Cap on first down. Throwing, caught by Henderson at midfield now, 45-yard line. And inside to the 41-yard line before Johnny Robinson tackled it.
And again, Henderson is the man that's getting the single coverage. This is a simple turn-in pattern. He just curls behind the linebacker, Emmett Thomas to the outside. And he looks hungry now.
One thing he did, he made sure he put that ball away before he started to run, and it was very important.
You might have seen number 46, Jim Kearney, go out of your picture and out of the coverage. That was because one of the Minnesota setbacks had come out and drawn him in that direction.
So the Viking offense gets a jolt, and it's first down at the 41-yard line of Kansas City. Another first down pass. Cap lofts one out over the middle. Incomplete is the call. It was intended for Oscar Reed, number 32, who, by the way, out of the backfield is an outstanding pass receiver. The pass was underthrown by Cap, and it's second down and 10. Pat, we've seen very few teams, if any, who've been able to make Minnesota come out of their game plan. Trailing now 16-0, they might well have to do so.
They certainly will have to do so because they can't afford to play the kind of football that they like to play, and that is ball control when they're trailing by this much. 16-0, and I can't help but think of the final score of last year's game.
Second down and 10. Big rush. They've all turned him loose, and Buck Buchanan drops him after Curly Culp had broken up the perimeter. Curly Culp was the first one through. Buchanan wrapped him up.
This again is a 4-3 type defense, except they've got a man in front of the offensive center. That man is Culp, and he got away from Tingelhoff. Culp, the first man on the scene. Buchanan next. Brown is 87, and Mays 75 wraps it up. Kansas City now has gone to a defense as Culp, you can see, has come to the sideline. Kansas City's gone to a defense with 5 defensive backs, something that Minnesota's been doing for a long time.
That score last year that was alluded to, New York 16, Baltimore 7. Here it's 16-0, and it's third down and 18 for Minnesota. Cap has one almost picked off by Marcellus. Was intended for Henderson, and boy, he had no less than 5 defenders around him.
That's as a result of those extra defensive backs. Goldie Sellers is number 20, who was involved in that coverage, like Marcellus.
Now a punting situation, and Willie Mitchell goes back deep along with Mike Garrett. And Bob Lee has been one of the busiest men for Minnesota, but this is a field goal attempt from the 44-yard line of 56 yards by Fred Cox. Trying to take advantage of the wind. It's going to be returned by McVeigh. He's to the 20. Did not get to the 25-yard line, but Kansas City has the ball back again with Mick Tingelhoff making the tackle for Minnesota. Well, you've seen a lot of halftime shows this year and in other years. What a dandy we have lined up for you today. That Southern University band Al Hurt, Marguerite Piazza. This will be one of the greatest shows you have ever seen, so don't go away. 3:25 remaining in the half, clock running. See if Kansas City, well, see how they play it as they lead 16-0 from their own 24. They started the running play with Wendell Hayes and McVeigh. And McVeigh, who's 5'9", weighs 182, wearing number 6. Lost a yard as Alan Page got him first, and then Lonnie Warwick, number 59, got to him, middle linebacker. Warwick is worth talking about.
He's a guy who a couple of years ago might have been a little bit overweight, but he worked extremely hard to get his weight down, get himself in excellent shape, and what a hitter he is. We've seen him really put out some shots.
Here's a pitch to McVeigh, and he cuts back inside. He gets to the 25, and it'll be 3rd down. And 9 coming up with Alan Page making the tackle, number 88, along with Roy Winston, the outside linebacker, number 60. We're getting down now to the point we'll have this 2-minute warning. Not too long. 2:20 remaining in the half.
And as you think ahead, neither team has used a timeout yet. Both Kansas City and Minnesota have 3 left. So still plenty of time for lots of action.
Consider the fact, too, that Kansas City will be receiving the second half kickoff. Dawson doesn't want to run any more plays until the 2-minute warning. He'll get the wind again. And he wanted to allow as much time to elapse as possible, and you would too if you were leading 16-0. He comes to the sideline to talk to Hank Stram, who's got to be one of the most even-tempered people in this game of football.
Throughout the week, regardless of what he was asked, regardless of what situation he might have found himself placed in, he approached it in the same calm manner. What a job he's done as the Kansas City coach. The only one they've ever had, and the owner of the best record of the AFL teams in their 10 years of existence. On the far side, the gentleman on your left as you look at it, talking to his middle linebacker, Lonnie Warwick now, number 59, is Bud Grant. And talking about outstanding jobs, he's done one too.
And as you watch this game, and with the score 16-0, don't write the Vikings off.
You might remember a couple of weeks ago, in their playoff game against the Los Angeles Rams, they went into the dressing room at halftime trailing 17-7. They came back to win that game 23-20.
It's a 3rd down play confronting the Chiefs from their own 25-yard line. As we resume, following the 2-minute warning, it's 3rd and 9. CBS bringing you the Super Bowl game from New Orleans. Both Pitts and Taylor go to the left side. Urbanus, the tight end, is on the right side. It's 3rd and 9. Dawson stays on the ground, and McVeigh running to the short side. He did not get a first down, or perhaps he did. Carl Eller tackled him. He had to get to the 34-yard line. We'll see where they give him his forward progress.
A surprise call by Dawson. I'm sure that Minnesota was anticipating pass that time with 3rd and 9. Both Eller and Winston got caught inside as Kansas City was able to get both their guards out and get outside.
What a big measurement, Pat. If they get the first down, they might kill the clock for the half or even get some more points. If they fail to get it, well, they got it. So we can't talk about that anymore. I was going to say if they failed to get it, they could not have gambled.
Not at this point, because Minnesota would have gotten the ball, of course, in good position.
The ball is at the 34-yard line. Quite a call by Lenny Dawson, and you can be sure that that call came out of that sideline huddle we showed you during the timeout. First down from the 34. Here's Dawson on the end around again to Pitts. Winston missed him. Pitts gets to the 45-yard line. Carl Eller chased the play, caught up with it, and made the stop.
This is that same end-around play as Dawson fakes to his runners to the right, to Holmes, or to Hayes, rather, and gives the ball to Pitts, and there's some of that great speed. Winston had to fight off 2 blockers in front of him. Both Hill and Moorman were out in front. Finally, he's knocked out of bounds by Eller.
Funny thing, Pat, NFL teams had defense that end around so well that we saw very little of it work effectively this year.
They run it in an entirely different way. It has been effective.
The quickie to Taylor. The tackle by McVeigh. We have 1:22 remaining in the half. See if Kansas City wants to stop the clock. The clock is official for the Super Bowl game. Clock is running. 1:10 remaining. A little bit further, and Stenerud could be in the picture once more.
He certainly could. Dave Hill is left again at offensive right tackle. His place has been taken by 65, Ramey Prudhomme.
Here's the draw play to Hayes. That was 2nd and 7. Hayes got down into Minnesota territory. Gary Larson tackled him. And now Kansas City stops the clock with 49 seconds remaining in the half. The score, Kansas City out in front 16-0. The ball is spotted at the 49. And it'll be a 3rd down play. Now Hill goes back into the game. He's at right offensive tackle, number 73. Ramey Prudhomme had replaced him, but he comes back out. So he's got to be hurting, Pat, but hanging in there and wanting to play.
Just checking statistics, Jack, as you get a look at Bud Grant on the far sideline. And Frank Pitts is both the leading rusher and the leading receiver for Kansas City in the first half.
And I know who the leading passer is in this game.
Well, certainly. You must know it's Lenny Dawson, who now has thrown 11 times, I beg your pardon, completed 7 for a total of 86 yards.
49 seconds remaining in the half. You have to remember that in this quarter, Kansas City is moving into the wind, and so Stenerud's effectiveness is diminished somewhat. Taylor's to the right side. And now they go into the shotgun formation. And Lenny Dawson throws, and it is almost intercepted by the linebacker, Wally Helgenberg. And his hands on the ball as Kansas City shifted into the shotgun formation, or what used to be called a short punt. He almost drew a penalty from Minnesota, but they didn't make contact.
And they got back in time. That's not something that Kansas City has just figured up this week. They used it in preseason against the Los Angeles Rams with great success.
And so, a punting situation, and we see Gerald Wilson for the first time. Charlie West goes deep, along with Grimm. And a fair catch is called for by Grimm at the 15-yard line, and the Vikings will go from there. We didn't have a chance to tell you about Gerald Wilson's punting this year. He averaged 44.4 per kick. We have a flag down and a discussion of some sort. 38 seconds remaining in the half. Looks like they're going to kick it over.
As we told you a few minutes ago, Minnesota has all 3 of their timeouts left. Kansas City has 2.
But only 38 seconds with which to perform. A penalty against Kansas City moves the ball back to the 46-yard line. And we have a motion procedure, backfield in motion. So Wilson will punt from inside his 30-yard line. Get it away from inside his 35. Again, it's Grimm and West deep. Grimm's 27. Score 16-0 Kansas City. Big rush. But Wilson was anticipating it, got it away, and what a punt. That won't hurt his average, will it? Kansas City downs the ball at the 10-yard line. So now there are only 28 seconds remaining in the half. The man who downed it for Kansas City, number 24, was a fellow who was just recently activated.
'24 is Caesar Belser, and if you watch the special teams for Kansas City, he is almost always involved in tackles.
Now less than a half minute remaining in the half as Joe Kapp at the goal line steps into the pocket and throws long for Washington, who's double covered and incomplete. Johnny Robinson was out helping out along with Emmett Thomas, and did Kapp throw that ball a long way. That ball traveled 50, 70, about 75 yards in the air.
A lot of people have the idea that Kapp can't throw the ball a long way. He does throw a ball that wobbles quite a bit. As you can see, we have 13 seconds left now. But he fired that one out of the gun from the end zone about 65 yards in the air.
That ball wobbled for 65 yards, and Washington almost caught it. 13 seconds left in the half. 2nd and 10 from the 10.
5 defensive backs in for Kansas City.
And now Cap runs into his running back and runs for a couple of yards. And let's see if Minnesota calls timeout. They let the clock run. Clock is official, we mention again, and that ends the half. And listen to the Kansas City fans. Don't they love it from the Super Bowl? The end of the first half with the score. Kansas City 16, Minnesota nothing.
Hey, you guys, take a minute and look at this. It's a chic super stainless blade. We magnified a small spot on the edge of this blade 475 times after a guy shaved with it 5 days so you can get a good look at it. Hold it. You know what did this? Corrosion. Corrosion chewed the heck out of it. Like the looks of that? Okay, now watch. The same guy shaved 5 times with a chic chromium blade. Examine it closely. I ask you, did chic chromium corrode like that super stainless? You decide. Which blade would you want to shave your face with? Though most chic super stainless blades don't corrode like the chic shown, face up to chic chronochrome. You gotta feel it to believe it.
We'll be ready for the start of today's halftime activities after this pause for station identification.
The Merv Griffin Show. That's where the late night action is, with famous personalities joining the fun weeknights on CBS.
One, two, three, four. This is Jack Whitaker, and ladies and gentlemen, the World Championship Super Bowl game proudly presents for your halftime enjoyment, Way Down Yonder, produced by Tommy Walker. Let's give a resounding welcome to that fast-stepping, toe-tapping band from Jaguar Land, the Southern University Band from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, under the direction of Isaac Gregg. Join us in welcoming the band and all the watching world to Way Down Yonder in New Orleans. They say care forgot this city. We hope you never will. New Orleans, the Crescent City. New Orleans with streetcars named Desire, traveling on streets paved with dreams. There was Bourbon Street, named for the Duke of Bourbon, but now reigned over by a king. His name, Al Hurt. His scepter, a golden horn. And here's the king, taking us down the first street of dreams, Bourbon Street. Bourbon Street to Basin Street, where it really all began. And here is New Orleans' own Marguerite Piazza, star of supper clubs, the Metropolitan Opera, and television, with Basin Street Blues. And here is Southern University's Super Bowl step. You have to see it to believe it. From Basin Street to South Rampart Street, named for the old city's protective walls. The walls are down, and the only army marching through these days is the band of Southern University. They play South Rampart Street Parade. On a gray January day, 155 years ago, at a Chalmette plantation south of New Orleans, a general named Andrew Jackson and a young pirate named John Lafitte led the battle for New Orleans. These two unlikely allies engaged the mighty British Army. It could only happen here. Unbelievably, it did. When the smoke cleared, the British had lost 1,975 men killed, while the American casualties were 6 killed and 7 wounded. The defeat of the Redcoats saved this city and made the western expansion of our new nation possible. Good life, too. An era of opulence secured by fortunes founded on sugar and cotton, nurtured by the mighty Mississippi. On its banks, a dream world of garlanded galleries, winding stairs, massive columns guarded by magnolia and oak. And on the water, a riverboat, Southern Bells leaning over its rails, tossing silver dollars at the bubbles behind the paddle wheel. We are now going to be serenaded by a couple of river minstrels who many times have floated down the Mississippi. The minstrels, Al Hurt and Lionel Hampton. The song, Do You Know What It Means to Miss New Orleans? Orleans is the place where jazz was born, and a man can also depart by it. The Jazz Funeral. Their names read like jazz poetry, and poetry was what they were all about. Papa Celestine, Jelly Roll Morton, Bunk Johnson, Johnny St. Cyr, George Lewis, John Brown, and Paul Morris. These jazz greats who lived what soul really is before anybody tried to give it a name. They made perfect the parts of a man you can't see, like what makes him laugh and sometimes what makes him cry. The trip to the graveyard was a mournful one. All of the sad things in a man's life got their due. The jazz on the trip back from the graveyard was something else again. Louis Armstrong said they'd just tear their horns apart. They were letting the departed hear the music the way he liked it in life. Fantasy, things as they were, as folks would have them and occasionally as they are, come together in a wild and dazzling package of glittering beads, floats out of dreams, music and maskers, all coming together in a revelry called Mardi Gras. A million words couldn't tell it like it really is, but Al Hurt's horn comes close. So, come to the Mardi Gras. Marguerite Piazza, Lionel Hampton, Doc Severinsen, the Southern Band, the Onward, and the Olympia Brass Bands all thank you for joining us way down yonder in New Orleans. The show produced by Tommy Walker, script by Gus Ward. We're almost ready to begin the second half with Minnesota kicking off to Kansas City.
The AFL-NFL World Championship game is being brought to you by the Hartford Insurance Group and its agents and brokers everywhere. And by Winston, the cigarette with a real good thing, real good taste. And by Schlitz. When you're out of Schlitz, you're out of beer. And by the people of American Airlines, who invite you to make yourself at home the American way. The Kansas City Chiefs Minnesota Vikings game will continue after this brief intermission.
Take Salem out of the country, but you can't take the country out of Salem. You can take Salem out of the country, but you can't take the country out of Salem.
Take your taste to the country. Light up a Salem.
You can take Salem out of the country, but
You can find anything in Hong Kong. Ivory, silk, jade, and an American beer, Schlitz. And out here that says home. You only go around once in life, and you gotta grab for all the gusto you can, even in the beer you drink. Why settle for less? When you're out of Schlitz, you're out of beer.
Here at the Super Bowl in New Orleans, this shot is from the Goodyear blimp, America. And there she be, high above Tulane Stadium. With another mode of transportation also in your picture. What a great halftime show that was. I'm sure you'll agree. And now, let's look at the scoreboard, and it still says Kansas City 16, Minnesota nothing, Pat, with both teams back on the field.
We were speculating a minute earlier that possibly, although no indication from the Minnesota bench yet, that it might be Gary Quazzo starting the second half at quarterback for the Vikings. We'll have some highlights of the first half to show you. It's 16-0. This is a record-setting field goal by Jan Stenerud of Kansas City, 48 yards away, breaking the record held by Don Chandler of Green Bay. And that put Kansas City ahead 3-0. Here is the Kansas City touchdown, the only touchdown in the first half, by Mike Garrett behind a great block by Mo Moorman. On the defensive tackle for Minnesota, Alan Page. And that's the way it stands right now, 16-0. Kansas City has dominated the first half.
you can take Salem out of the country, but you can't take the country out of Salem. You can take Salem out of the country, but you can't take the country out of Salem.
Take your taste to the country. Light up a Salem.
You can take Salem out of the country, but
You can find anything in Hong Kong. Ivory, silk, jade, and an American beer, Schlitz. And out here that says home. You only go around once in life, and you gotta grab for all the gusto you can, even in the beer you drink. Why settle for less? When you're out of Schlitz, you're out of beer.
Here at the Super Bowl in New Orleans, this shot is from the Goodyear blimp, America. And there she be, high above Tulane Stadium. With another mode of transportation also in your picture. What a great halftime show that was. I'm sure you'll agree. And now, Let's look at the scoreboard, and it still says Kansas City 16, Minnesota nothing, Pat, with both teams back on the field.
We were speculating a minute earlier that possibly, on no indication from the Minnesota bench yet, that it might be Gary Quazzo starting the second half at quarterback for the Vikings. We'll have some highlights of the first half to show you. It's 16-0. This is a record-setting field goal by Jan Stenerud of Kansas City, 48 yards away, breaking the record held by Don Chandler of Green Bay. And that put Kansas City ahead 3-0. Here is the Kansas City touchdown, the only touchdown in the first half, by Mike Garrett behind a great block by Mo Moorman. On the defensive tackle for Minnesota, Alan Page. And that's the way it stands right now, 16-0. Kansas City has dominated the first half.
The only order of business remaining is to remove some of the Mardi Gras floats from the playing field. You see the Kansas City team huddled in front of their bench. They are the home team here, and they're trying to repeat for the American Football League. Let's check some of the statistics from the first half.
And as we said, Kansas City has dominated the first half. They've dominated it statistically as well. 10 first downs to 4, 147 yards to 96, 77 yards on the ground to 24, 70 to 72 passing. Dawson was outstanding in the first half, 7 of 11. Joe Cap, 8 of 14. Minnesota has fumbled twice, and they have turned out to be crucial.
And there was an interception on behalf of Minnesota by Paul Krause in that first half. The deep men for Kansas City as we start the second half are Wendell Hayes, number 38, and Robert Holmes, number 45, who's closest to you. And there is Fred Cox, who was in the game in the first half only to try and miss a field goal. And he'll be kicking off. Now, many times he'll kick the ball rather than straight away into a corner of the field. Try to make the receiver go handle the football. He's very accurate. You can see he has the ball teed up, the right hash mark. And he does kick to Wendell Hayes, who starts out of the end zone and is to the 10. And at the 15, he is stopped cold. And Kansas City goes from there. Kansas City leading 16-0. And it is Lenny Dawson and company coming back to work. Well, following the Super Bowl tonight, To Rome with Love on CBS. And Ed Sullivan presenting his new entertainment team, Tiny Tim and his new wife, Miss Vicky. Topping off your Super Sunday this evening, Glenn Campbell Good Time Hour, followed by Mission Impossible. All of that tonight on CBS following the Super Bowl. Otis Taylor comes to the right. There's Hank Strand. Hayes is in the backfield with McVay, and that's McVay. Got around the linebacker, Jim Marshall. Defensive end on the right side made the tackle. McVay is 5'9", 182, played at the University of Houston. This is his second year.
Sort of surprising that he's been used as much as he has this afternoon because of the condition of the field. In spots, it's very slippery. And McVay with those quick feet doesn't figure to be quite as mobile as the bigger backs do. Garrett had an outstanding first half. Now it's McVay. And I believe Wendell Hayes, the up back.
And pitch is to the left. 2nd and 5. Dawson with a quickie to Taylor. Taylor trying to get that first down yardage, and he did. With Ursel McBee making the tackle, number 46. A first down, Kansas City. There's the Kansas City moving the ball, and there's the Minnesota bench. Number 26 for the Vikings, who was in your picture, was Clinton Jones, whom we've seen returning kicks. Charlie West checks into the backfield now, and he replaces McBee on the left corner.
Otis Taylor was taken out of the game after that last play. Gloucester Richardson is in.
And he was in that inside slot. Running with the ball is Garrett. Crosses the 30-yard line. Inside slot is something I suppose we should explain to you.
That's the particular formation that Kansas City uses, where the flanker, it usually is Otis Taylor. In this particular instance, he isn't in the game, but it's a formation where the slot back gets into a slot between the guard and tackle rather than on the outside. It surprised the Jets a couple of times during the year.
A pickup of 6 yards on that carry by Mike Garrett. 2nd down and 4. Richardson is on the right side. Pitches to the left. And a great tackle was made on the running back, Wendell Hayes, by the linebacker, Wally Hilgenberg, coming from the right side, Lonnie Warwick. The ball at the 30-yard line. Warwick made the tackle. We're early in the 3rd period, 12:08 remaining in this period.
Kansas City in a position now where they could play their own type of football game, the kind of thing that they like to do. They can keep it on the ground except in obvious passing situations. This is one of them. Minnesota, on the other hand, in a position where they might have to gamble a little bit. We might expect them to blitz this time, although not necessarily. But watch the linebackers. They'll be the key.
3rd down and 6 from the 30. The blitz is on. Dawson gets rid of the ball, and Garrett catches the ball and is rustled to the ground. Sherachman on the play with Garrett.
You can see the blitz develop here as Winston, with his back to you, number 60, trying to shoot the gap. Kansas City picks it up well. Hill did. Arbanis checked Eller before he left. Dawson has time despite the blitz. Good catch by Garrett, being handled by Sherachman, but not before he got the 1st down.
1st down yardage out to the 38-yard line. Wendell Hayes did a good job of blocking in the Kansas City backfield against that blitzing situation. Arbanis to the right side with Richardson. And Dawson with a good fake, and the outside pass to Richardson, broken up by McBee, who's back in there. Russell McBee had come back in, and he was covering Gloucester Richardson. It'll be 2nd down.
Not that Richardson isn't a good receiver, but Otis Taylor, the man he's replaced, is I guess you could call him a super receiver, and the Kansas City offense loses a little bit when Taylor leaves.
Ball at the 38, 2nd down and 10. Kansas City received the 2nd half kickoff. They've kept the ball for 4 minutes and a few seconds. The lights are on here at Tulane Stadium. Dawson in the pass, screens it to the left to Hayes. Hayes, did you see Marshall come back on that play? Jim Marshall had been chasing Dawson, saw the screen, turned, chased it, and made the tackle.
We told you how quick he was, and the Minnesota people will tell us that he is the quickest of the front 4, quickest off the ball, and probably the fastest. He was involved in the blocking. Kansas City was screening on him, yet he still got downfield and caught one of the fast backs.
We're talking about Marshall, and he's playing against a former teammate of his.
That would be Jim Tyre at Ohio State.
The ball at the 41-yard line. 3rd down and 7. Arbanis to the right side. Dawson rolling right. Throwing, and it's caught by Arbanis. The flag is down. Arbanis has. We've got a hold against Kansas City. Lonnie Warwick made the tackle on the tight end, but a holding penalty coming up.
As Dawson rolled, it appeared that Carl Eller, the defensive left end for Minnesota, might be getting away from the offensive tackle on that side, Dave Hill. And rather than have him take a good shot at Dawson, Hill just grabbed hold.
So instead of a 1st down, the Chiefs find themselves back inside their 20-yard line at the 19. And facing long yardage. John McDonough, our referee, tells us it's holding. There's Bell, number 78, the outstanding linebacker on the left side for Kansas City.
Chiefs were called early in the game for roughing the kicker, but outside of that, this is the first major penalty that they've been tagged with so far. They've played an excellent football game.
It's 3rd down and 29.
And Minnesota now goes with the 5 defensive backs as Dale Hackbart is in. Paul Dixon is out. Gary Larson, I should say, is out.
So it'll be a 3-man rush for the Vikings. And Garrett runs wide, needs long yardage, and got only to the 25, and it'll be 4th down. Dale Hackbart, who had just come in to help out on defense, made the tackle, number 49. And the punter, Gerald Wilson, comes into the game for the Chiefs, who are out in front 16-0. 9:45 left in this 3rd quarter. Hackbart to the sideline.
Minnesota needs a break now. Watch their front 4s. You can look at their bench. Watch their front line and see if they put the rush on the kicker, try to block Wilson's kick, or if they try to set up a punt return. They need one of the two.
West is deep along with Grimm. They're inside their 40 for the Vikings. It's a big rush. They don't get there, and Wilson really put a toe into it. Drives West back to the 22-yard line. 25 to the 30. And down he goes. Bob Stein was the tackler, and he's a great man on those special teams. Well, the CBS Golf Classic is yours to see, and next Saturday, Stockton against Guyberger and Weiskopf against Jacklin. Great action, and as another sport has hit the CBS sports scene. Watch it next Saturday on CBS. It's Cap in there at quarterback with Osborne, with Brown. And here's Bill Brown, hauled down from behind by Curly Culp. You've heard of the quickness of Culp, and he just looped around and made the hit on Bill Brown right at the line of scrimmage. 2nd down and 10. Pat, you know, these people are playing for $15,000 per man on the winning team, half of that for the losing team, but you never hear the players talk about that money.
They just talk about the pride and the prestige involved in winning a game like this.
2nd down and 10. Fake to Osborne. Cap running with the ball. And it is complete beyond the 45-yard line. And that'll be a 1st down for the Vikings.
That's Emmett Thomas down, the right cornerback for Kansas City. He got popped from behind by Beasley and by one of his own men.
And Beasley has to go off the field shaken also. And he is replaced by Kent Kramer, number 89. So Emmett Thomas is down and out, and it costs Kansas City a timeout. 7:55 remaining in the 3rd quarter. There's a timeout with the score, Kansas City 16, Minnesota nothing. Let's pause for a moment.
Oh, brother. Morning already. Cold. Must be 0. I wonder if the old bus will start. No, no. I left it out all night. Gas line freeze. Tow truck. Haul it and thaw it out. Cold weather, man. Man. My American oil man. What did he say? Advice. Something about advice.
My advice, sir, get de-icer. Protects against gas line freeze down to 40 below at no extra cost.
Yeah, that's it. De-icer. Good old de-icer.
You expect more from American, and you get it. The American Oil Company.
Emmett Thomas remains in the game, though he was shaken on that last play, but Kent Kramer has replaced John Beasley at tight end. There's Beasley, number 87, along the sideline, along with Jim Marshall, and we'll watch for his return.
He's supposed to be just shaken up. Interesting to see right here if Cap goes to work on Thomas, thinking that he might be hurt.
A 1st down play from the 46. And the straight-ahead running play to Bill Brown. Buck Buchanan, the primary defender. Number 86, 275-pounder from Grambling. The sun is put in an appearance here late in the day in New Orleans, and the lights are on. The ball is at the 48, 2nd down and 8.
We told you that Beasley was just shaken a bit. He's back in the game now. And Thomas also stayed, so apparently they both just had the wind knocked out of them.
Beasley is split left. Cap running with the football. And down he goes at the 45, shy of a 1st down. It'll be 3rd down, and Willie Lanier, number 63, put it to him. And he didn't want to pass up that opportunity to nail the opposing quarterback.
Not often you get a shot at a quarterback. And Lanier has a reputation of being a great hitter. He's the middle linebacker. Cap back to pass. Protection not all that bad. Culp almost got loose. 61 you can see, and so did Buchanan, and they chase him out of the pocket. Lanier coming over from the middle linebacker spot with help from Bobby Bell, number 78, the other linebacker on that particular side.
Cap is 6'3", 215, and he can take that hitting. It's 3rd down and 1. Look at that Kansas City defense stacked up. Osborne He was really driving, and it's going to be probably close enough to measure. As we look at it from here, it looks like he just barely got it. That was a third down play. If they don't make it, Pat, they're going to be pretty well forced to gamble here. 6:22 left in the third quarter.
I would certainly suppose so. And if they don't make it, as the officials are bringing the measuring sticks out to see if they did, it's going to be very close. If they don't make it, Minnesota almost has to go, as time becomes very much a factor. Cap, of course, if he has to go for it on fourth down, is court enough to sneak it fast enough and quick enough to sneak it himself.
They're having difficulty trying to find the midfield line marker to plant the chain. And it's a very critical measurement. Because of the decorations on the field, some of those line markers, they made it by a couple of inches. Minnesota will go from there. 6:22 remaining in the period. Minnesota trailing 16-0. That Minnesota was quite intent in the first half and throwing long. Might have to get out of that.
As good a free safety as Johnny Robinson is, it's pretty tough to throw deep against the Kansas City defense.
Here's a delay to Bill Brown. Inside the 40-yard line he blows. He was tripped up by Willie Lanier, the middle linebacker, and then covered by others, including Kearney and Buchanan.
Just a simple draw play by Brown as the Minnesota offensive line does a good job. Culp gets to the outside. He's cut down by a fine block by Osborne. The rest of it's done by Brown.
Ball is at the 36-yard line, and it is second down and a long two. The fake to both running backs, and now the screen to Brown. Brown is inside the 30. That's a first down for Minnesota. Before he was tackled by Buck Buchanan, who chased the play. 5:20 remaining in this third period. The reason I keep mentioning the clock so often is that Minnesota needs three kind of scores. That is 2 touchdowns and a field goal to take the lead, and that clock keeps ticking away. There's Marshall, there's Winston along the sideline. Ball at the 25, a first down.
Kansas City staying in that odd defense. This time it's Buchanan in front of Tingelhoff, the offensive center.
Cap rolling. Throwing on the run, and it is caught by Henderson. He might have a first down with that one, with Jim Marcellus covering him.
Roll out by Cap. Marcellus with his back to you, number 40. Henderson is 80. That's what Marcellus' reputation is, that he's a bumper. He likes to hit the receiver at the line of scrimmage. That time Henderson got away from him. Cap did a good job getting away from the Kansas City rush and getting the ball to him.
Marcellus is only 5'11", but after he makes that bump, he has the speed to stay up with those receivers. And it's short of the first down. It'll be second down and a couple of inches. Bob Lee is the punter. He's number 19, but you see Bud Grant talking with Joe Cap about this situation. This could be a gambling down for the Vikings.
Could be, as it's second and just a few inches. Cap could go for the touchdown in this situation, keeping in mind that he still has 2 more running downs in which to pick up his first down.
Kansas City allowed only 19 touchdowns all year during the regular season, and 6 of those on the ground. There is a timeout being indicated by the official. I think he's waiting for the chorus to get out of the end zone, and he is. So the gals have stopped the boys for a while here with 4:42 remaining in the third quarter. Second down in inches for the Vikings at the 15. Cap fakes it, looks to throw. It's caught by Reed, and it'll be first and goal. Jim Kearney bumped Oscar Reed out of bounds. He's a second-year man from Colorado State, and he's that little impetus off the bench that the Vikings often receive.
Great quickness, Oscar Reed. Cap again did a good job to get away from the rush by the right end for Kansas City, Aaron Brown. Reed was wide open.
It's first and goal from the 4 as the Vikings try to get on the scoreboard for the first time today. Henderson goes to the right. Washington is in rather tight on the left side. Beasley is the tight end on the right side. Cap gives to Osborne. Osborne picks his way in for a touchdown. He gave somebody a foot and took it away and popped into the end zone.
I don't know how he managed to hold on to the ball as he made a twist right at the end. That's Tingelhoff, 53. Sunday coming behind. Tingelhoff with a good block on Buchanan. Pick up number 41. Oscar Reed does a good job. Watch him flip and watch the ball fly out now. I don't know how he held on. What an effort by Dave Osborne, and you can see he just barely got that football in.
You're never so sure that you're going to score against Kansas City when you're down in there. And now Fred Cox with his very important extra point. Ball will be held by Paul Krause, trying to make it 16-7. Krause gets it down. Cox gets it up and through. 16-7 in favor of Kansas City. And we'll be back with the Vikings kickoff in just a moment.
Here's the only place I know of where you get a second chance in life. The International Date Line. Cross it, and you get to spend yesterday all over again. That's worth celebrating, with all the gusto you can grab, even in the beer you drink. Why settle for less? When you're out of Schlitz, you're out of beer.
Me and my Winstons, we got a real good thing, a real good taste. Me and my Winstons, me and my Winstons, we got a real good thing, 'cause my Winstons taste good like a cigarette should.
Well, we just saw the Minnesota team of old roll down from their own 32 for a touchdown. Cox kicking off. Robert Holmes, number 45, closest to you, along with Wendell Hayes, number 38, waiting for the ball. Watch the direction in which Cox kicks the ball. 4:32 remaining in the third quarter. Again, he kicks the ball at Hayes. Took it on the 1, 5, 10, 15. And great defensive play by the Vikings, led by Dale Hackbart, number 49. And he really stuck his nose into that action. Number 49, Hackbart with the tackle. Ball is at the 18. Well, in 2 weeks, CBS presents the American Basketball Association's All-Star Game. It'll be on the 24th of January at 2 Eastern Time, played in Indianapolis. Rick Barry, Spencer Haywood, Louis Dampier, and others. The ABA All-Star Game on CBS. Pitch to the left with Arbanis. Otis Taylor's back in there. He's on the right side. Hayes and Garrett, the setbacks, and that's Garrett. And not much doing there as the outside linebacker, Wally Hilgenberg, piled in. And Garrett, as it turned out, did pick up 4, 2nd and 6.
One of the great things about Garrett's running ability is that if the hole is closed where the play is designed to come, he can change directions after he started toward the line of scrimmage. He has those quick feet that football people like to talk about.
And he has the only Kansas City touchdown today. Jan Stenerud has 3 field goals. Dave Osborne has scored for the Vikings. 2nd 6 from the 22. Dawson on a delay to Hayes. And Garrett did a good job of helping Hayes break loose before Hilgenberg and Warwick tackled him. Garrett with a fine block on that play.
Now take a look at middle linebacker Lonnie Warwick. On a draw play, he's going to shed a block by the offensive center Holub and make the tackle on Garrett. Strength and balance. Got some help from Wally Hilgenberg on the other side. Kansas City might have a first down.
They do, as the measurement shows us. Holub, who's the offensive center for Kansas City, has had no less than 7 knee operations. There's Joe Kapp along the sideline, anxious to get back in with Bud Grant alongside. Who are the coaches upstairs for these teams, Pat, for Minnesota?
For Minnesota, Neil Armstrong, Jerry Burns, and Jack Patera. And the Kansas City coaches up here in the press box looking down are John Beek, Pete Brewster, and Tom Pratt.
A first down at the 28. And there's Garrett picking his way across the 30-yard line. Now only 2:50 remaining in the third quarter. Lonnie Warwick, the middle linebacker, tripped him up. Hilgenberg also in on the action. And a close-up look at the Kansas City offensive unit. Hollab up front at center. Mormon and Buddy are the guards. Hill and Tyre, the offensive tackles. 89 is Taylor. You see him going to the left side with Frank Pitts for 2nd down and 6. Now Hayes goes the wing back left. And there's movement in the line, and a flag is thrown. The tackle is made on Pitts by Ed Shirachman. I think, well, better wait and see. It appeared that Kansas City moved. One of the interior linemen came out of that three-point stance, but we'll let the officials determine this one.
I was about to say a few seconds ago that it was another instance in which Minnesota may have had to take a chance on defense and shoot a linebacker. They did. And the fact that Winston was jumping around and so was Warwick in the middle might have pulled one of those offensive linemen offside a little bit. I think it was Dave Hill.
That was 2nd down and 6. The line of scrimmage was the 32. The penalty is marked off against the Chiefs. Back to the 27, keeping it 2nd down. 2nd down and 11.
Second time in a row that a penalty has been a factor in a Kansas City drive. You might remember the last time they had it moving pretty good and they got caught holding. This time not so serious. It's offsides, but it's 2nd 11. And again, Minnesota with a chance to shoot a linebacker and try to make it longer yardage.
Run out of the eye and a delay to Hayes. And a fine tackle saved the day for the moment by Lonnie Warwick, the middle linebacker. Brings about a 3rd down play and doesn't have Hayes boom into the line for a 220-pounder.
I think we told you earlier that of the 4 backs that Kansas City utilizes, Hayes, despite the fact that he's one of the biggest, is supposed to be the quickest into the line and the quickest off the ball.
So from the 32, here is a big play in this football game. 3rd down and 7. Crowd reacts. Here's the end around again to Pitts. Look at the blocking he's got out in front. Or they make that play work in a hurry. Ursel McBee, the cornerback, was being stormed, but he did force the play out of bounds.
Pitts is the tight end to the left side, and this is the 3rd time they've run the same play. Again, they caught Eller on the inside and Winston. And Hill, and look at this bunch of blockers out in front. Hill is 73. 71 is Buddy. The offensive center Hollab's involved, and so is the guard Mo Moorman.
First down, Kansas City. Down. We can make a note on that one because you might be looking back on that particular play when this game is over. 1:39 remaining in the third quarter. And the ball is at the Kansas City 39-yard line. That was a big one, Pat, if they'd been forced to punt.
This is the kind of drive now that Kansas City is putting together that Minnesota can't afford because they need the football, they need some help on the clock as well.
Here's a first down play. Hayes was a wing back to the right. Dawson faked short and threw long. Shirachman was there covering. A flag has been thrown back near the line of scrimmage as that downfield battle went on between Pitts and Shirachman. We'll check the flag. Penalty is going to be against Minnesota. And it's a big one. So the ball goes to the 47-yard line and a personal foul against the Vikings.
What happened, I think, is Mike Garrett was trying to come out of the backfield and get involved in that pattern. Wally Hilgenberg had to pick him up, and he might have given Garrett a little shot as he tried to get by him.
Quick snap and the quick pass to Taylor. He got away from McBee. He's inside the 15. He scores! From the 47-yard line. Kosofsky missed him. McBee missed him. And a touchdown pass to Otis Taylor changes the game around again.
What a great athlete he is. I think the picture speaks for itself. Shirachman misses. McBee missed first, I beg your pardon. And then that was Krause who missed next.
So the touchdown from 47 yards away, our longest scoring play of the day aside from a field goal. And the pass to Taylor runs the score to 22-7 with 1:22 remaining in the third quarter. Again, you look back at that third down play a little while ago and the end around. Dawson gets it down. Stenerud makes it good. 23-7 in favor of Kansas City. Kicking off, we have a new receiver for Minnesota. Bill Harris, number 35, back there along with Clinton Jones. Stenerud sends it to Jones at the 4, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 36-yard line. And had he gotten past those two, of whom Willie Mitchell was one, he might have sailed right down that sideline. 1:11 left in the third quarter. Well, if you haven't been buying them lately, it's time to start buying them now. United States savings bonds, now better than ever. From the 36, Cap and Company, with Washington to the left and Henderson to the right. A delayed Oscar Reed. Not much doing as the defensive end, Brown, got him, along with Buchanan. Right tackle and right end. In fact, we haven't seen much of Gene Washington. He hasn't been very much in this game.
Probably because Kansas City has been double covering him. Wherever he goes, to which side of the field, it doesn't matter. I think, again, Kansas City defense with the linebackers principally made Cap guess that they might be blitzing that time, and he called an automatic.
2nd down and 9. Cap throws to Henderson. And we'll have to see where they mark his forward progress. It's going to be a first down as he's wrestled down by James Marcellus, number 40. A first down by a foot or so out to the 47. That's going to be the end of the third quarter. The gun sounds. That's the end of the third quarter with the score, Kansas City 23, Minnesota 7. We now pause for station identification. Orleans from the Goodyear Blimp, America. High above Tulane Stadium. The Minnesota Vikings have the football and only 15 minutes to do something about a 23-7 score. Each team scored a touchdown in the third period. It's first down for the Vikings at their own 47. Washington is to the right with Marcellus covering him. Henderson is split left. And the give is to Osborne. Following Jim Balone. He got to midfield and picked up 3 and perhaps 4 yards before Aaron Brown was able to get him out of bounds. Pat Summerall's alongside, and I'm Jack Buck, and we hope you're enjoying this game from New Orleans. To the sideline comes Aaron Brown, the defensive end, for an equipment repair. And Chuck Hurston, number 85, replaces him.
Unless I didn't quite see it correctly, it looked to me as if Brown's finger might have been out of place, dislocated. It looked like it was pointing off to the side.
Now Oscar Reed running to about the 46-yard line before he's thrown back. Reed is in there with Osborne. Bill Brown not playing at the moment. Jerry Mays made that tackle. Back to the game goes Aaron Brown, and Hurston comes out. It'll be 3rd down and 3.
I think what happened is Brown got to the sideline, got the trainer to put his finger back in place. Hurston left, and he's back.
3rd down and 3. Just as we had a very big 3rd down play a while ago for Kansas City, here's one for the Vikings. Cap has to complete this one or have to punt. Tries to get it to Beasley. It's intercepted by the linebacker, Willie Lanier, and Kansas City has the football again. Lanier stepped in front of Beasley, who is 6'3" and 230 pounds, and intercepted. He had intercepted 4 times this year, Pat.
Cap is under severe pressure as Kansas City again gets a strong pass rush up the middle. Culp is getting close to him now. And so does Brown from the other side. And Lanier just wrestled it away from Beasley. A lot of Kansas City defenders around.
Lanier went down at the Kansas City 43, and the Chiefs have an opportunity to roll again. They already lead 23-7. Out of the eye. Stay in the eye now with McVay. Fake to him. Dawson swings the screen. Back to Pitts. And down he goes for a big loss. And great reading by the Minnesota defense with Sherachman coming up. And Hilgenberg, the linebacker, helping out.
That's another play that Kansas City runs when Pitts lines up as the tight end. You might remember the success that they had with the end around with Pitts at that position. Dawson probably figured that Minnesota would be very much aware of the end around and might be leaning in the other direction. And he came back with that screen pass to Pitts, but Minnesota read it well.
A loss back to the 31, making it 2nd down and 17. Only 13 minutes remain in the Super Bowl game. There's Dawson giving to McVay, and he gets a full head of steam in a hurry. He gets back to the 40. It'll be 3rd down and 13 coming up. Roy Winston, number 60, tackled him along with the middle linebacker, Lonnie Warwick.
Dawson had his offensive unit lined up in that camouflage slot. If you look at the Minnesota bench, and time is very much a factor now, and you can see that, I'm sure, on the faces of the Minnesota players. 30 is Bill Brown. Dawson could have been checking out and seeing how Minnesota is going to play that inside slot. He might come back with it again right here if he thought he might get somebody open. He does not.
There's a slot back to the right. 3rd down and 13. Start a man in motion and pitch to McVay. And the play is turned back in by Hackbart, who is in there. And the tackle is made by Jim Marshall, and it's 4th down. So really not much came of the interception except for the fact that more time is no longer available to the Vikings. 11:55 remaining in the game. And a punting situation for Gerald Wilson.
And again, the situation facing Minnesota as to whether they want to try to block the punt or put on some sort of a return. The thing that they do not want to do is be offsides, because that would give Kansas City a 1st down.
Bob Grimm and Charlie West wait inside their 20. Kicking with the wind. Wilson booms one. He touched that one off at the 30-yard line, and it went more than 70 yards in the air into the end zone. And he's happy about that, and it explains that 44-yard average he had during the year. So there'll be no punt return on that one. Out to the 20-yard line, the Vikings with 11 1/2 minutes remaining, and the Vikings trail 23-7. Still need 2 touchdowns and a field goal. They trailed at halftime 16-0. Bill Cap is quarterbacked all the way. It's away from trouble and runs into Moore, throws the ball. It's caught by Reed, and a flag is down. We might have an ineligible receiver downfield.
That appeared to be the preliminary sign, as the offensive line probably thought that Cap was going to run when he was forced to come out of the pocket, but we'll take a look.
Jim Lynch finally made the tackle on Reed, who caught the football. And Cap took a little pasting after getting rid of the ball. With it all, it was only a gain of a couple. And the penalty is going to be against the Vikings with the ineligible receiver. Half the distance, back to the 10. Plus loss of down. No, it remains 1st down. Half the distance, back to the 10. That's Clint Jones, 26, and the Viking bench is not a very happy area right now. Milt Sunday, the guard, number 64, was downfield on that pass situation. Straight rush by Kansas City. Cap throws the bomb for Henderson. And he can't get it. Marcellus battled with him. And it's incomplete. And again, the great range of Johnny Robinson enabled Marcellus to stay as close as he did to Henderson because he knew he had that help on the inside. Any move that Henderson might have given him to the outside, he had the honor, but anything to the inside, he knew he had help coming. Robinson, despite the fact that throughout the week it's been a question as to whether he'd play because of some injured cartilage, has done an outstanding job. Robinson is number 42, playing the free safety spot at 2nd down and 20 for Minnesota. Henderson again to the right, Gene Washington to the left, where Lynch, the linebacker, is helping him at Thomas. Cap throws, and Henderson catches it. Henderson breaks loose, gets a first down as a result, and he's at the 35-yard line. Jim Marcellus wrestled him down, but only because of that extra effort was Henderson able to get the first down. He got about 8 extra yards with that effort. He just barely had the first down when he caught the football. Watch this. Marcellus 40, Henderson 80. A turn-in pattern, about the only thing that Minnesota's been able to work with success. He gets away from Robinson right there, drags Marcellus, drags Kearney along with him too. There he is on the sideline as he gets the rest for Bob Grimm. And now on first down, Cap rolls left, stops and throws, and he throws long, and it is intercepted by the same Johnny Robinson we've been talking about, who gets his second of the day. And Kansas City gets the ball back again. Robinson had picked off 8 during the regular season and gets his second today. That's twice that Cap has tried to throw the same pattern to Beasley, and twice it's been picked off. Once by Lanier, now by Robinson. Again, he throws that ball, lobs the ball into the middle of 3 Kansas City defenders. Not much way you could hope to complete that one. 10:22 left in the game and a timeout with the score Kansas City 23, Minnesota 7. Let's pause for a moment.
We gave you our famous Gillette Blue Blade so you could look sharp, feel sharp, be sharp. Then you wanted more. A sharper blade, a longer lasting blade. You wanted more comfort. We gave you super stainless with the miracle plastic coating. And now you still want more. You want a closer shave without sacrificing comfort. You want more than the finest stainless, more than any blade ever made. More you want, more you shall have. We give you new Gillette Plus. Gillette Plus, a blade with platinum chromium-plated edges. Harder than stainless, more durable than chrome. An edge that will give you more than just a cleaner shave, and actually shave you with more comfort than any blade in history. Gillette Plus, the blade you've always wanted, and more.
Don't you know that Johnny Robinson, at whom you're looking, who played football at LSU, is enjoying this afternoon immensely. 10 years he's been the free safety for Kansas City. I don't suppose he's ever had a more outstanding afternoon than he has today. From the 49, a first down for the Chiefs. McVay slowed down and hauled down, hit by the middle linebacker, Lonnie Warwick. Warren McVay. Minnesota Viking defense, they're usually involved in a nip and tuck game or find themselves way out in front. Seldom have they trailed, as they do now, 23-7. Ball back at the 48, 2nd and 11. 9:50 remaining. Vanis to the left side. McVay again. Started inside, back outside, got away from Warwick. Hit by Shirachman, and down he goes. His third down coming up. And this puts Dawson in a situation which he does not particularly like, because he almost has to put the football in the air. Minnesota, of course, anticipating that with this 3rd and 7 situation. We pause 5 seconds for station identification. Dale Hackbart checks into the Minnesota defense. Dale Hackbart, the 5th defensive back, has checked into the Minnesota defense. A 3-man rush this time. Pitts and Taylor both go to the right side for Kansas City. Dawson stays on the ground, and McVeigh is hit right at the line of scrimmage by the linebacker, Roy Winston. Hilgenberg in on the action defensively. 8:35 remaining in this game. So that was the item you were talking about, Pat Summerall. Dawson didn't want to throw and didn't want to stop the clock.
There's Bud Grant along the Minnesota sideline again. Gerald Wilson again in a position to punt the ball just about as hard as he wants to. He is 65 yards away from the Minnesota end zone. Let's see if he unloads.
They get the ball away from the 40-yard line. Charlie West and Bob Grimm wait for it. A big rush. Wilson's low punt is handled by West at the 12-yard line, and he did not get to the 20.
The man whom we expected to be down first on those kicks was down. The man they just activated today, Caesar Belzer, number 24.
This Super Bowl game will be wrapped up with interviews from both dressing rooms, the winners and the losers, plus highlights of this game and the presentation of the Super Bowl trophy by Commissioner Pete Rozelle. The ball at the 19, first down, Minnesota. 7:45 left in the game. Cap throws to the sideline, and it's caught by Washington. One of Washington's few receptions today, and Emmett Thomas bumped him up. In fact, that's the first that Gene Washington has caught all day. Carl Eller, the outstanding defensive end of the Vikings, number 81. And you can almost read his mind, can't you?
Cap has now completed 14 out of 24. 467 yards. That was his 15th completion.
The ball is at the 28, and it's 2nd and 1. Oscar Reed to the left side, and the defensive end, Aaron Brown, roars through there and brings about a 3rd down, rather long yardage situation. As a result, it's surprising, Pat, they went wide, but that's what happens when you're trailing like this. You can't be content with the 1st down. You got to try to keep breaking plays.
And he had to figure that he might catch Kansas City's defense sleeping a little bit. He had to figure they might be expecting the pass.
Brown weighs 265. He doesn't move like it, does he? 3rd down and 2. And now we have exactly 7 minutes left in this game. 3rd and 2. Cap throws the ball. It's caught by Reed, and he slipped down, but it appears he has the 1st down. Oscar Reed caught the ball, slipped and fell right at the 1st down yardage marker, and he made it with Bobby Bell, the linebacker, covering him, number 78.
Reed just happened to try to make his cut upfield in one of those slippery spots on the field that we told you about earlier. In the event you might have joined us late, it rained almost all morning here in New Orleans. Right now, it's almost completely clear overhead.
And you can see the wet patches on the playing field. It's at the 30. The Kansas City Rooters, a lot of them wearing red coats down here, roaring as that clock ticks away. 6:10 left in the game. And they love it. Kansas City leading 23-7. Henderson to the left, Washington to the right. And Cap being chased by Buchanan. Now Brown. Fumble. Minnesota picks it back up again. And Cap is hurt. Cap trying to get up. Lynch, in a very solicitous fashion, checks him to see if he's all right. First it was Buchanan, and then it was Brown.
Tremendous pursuit by Kansas City. Buchanan, 86, is first. Then Brown, 86, forces him wide. That's Buchanan. 87 is Brown, and he puts the crusher on. The crusher it is.
And Malone, 63, recovered the fumble. Gary Quazzo is in at quarterback. Cap along the sideline. Quazzo, playing for the first time, is faced with 2nd down and 23. He gives the ball to Reed. He's still going. Crosses the 30 before Emmett Thomas threw him to the turf. It'll be a third down play. Gary Quazzo, the 7-year veteran who played at Virginia, understudied Johnny Unitas in there, quarterbacking the Vikings now with 5:10 left in the game, and Oscar Reed to the sideline. There's Cap being tended to at the bench.
When he went down, it appeared that Aaron Brown, who, as Jack Buck said, weighs 265, landed right on top of his stomach. Probably knocked the wind out of him.
Lindsey is in there for the Vikings, along with Osborne and Brown. Lindsey's in the pass pattern, and Quazzo hits Henderson. First down beyond the 45-yard line with Jim Kearney covering him.
From the Minnesota bench, we have word that it was Cap's left shoulder that was injured in that collision with Aaron Brown. Quazzo had a lot of zip on that ball. There's Cap. Obviously still in pain.
A first down for the Vikings at their own 48-yard line. 4:20 left in the game. Kansas City leading 23-7. Fake to Osborne. Good blocking, and the pass is thrown out of bounds by Quazzo. And you know that he threw that one away intentionally, as Washington was double covered by both Thomas and the linebacker Jim Lynch.
That's the same play that Cap got injured on, that short rollout, except that time Beasley, the tight end, stayed and got a good block on Aaron Brown.
That out-of-bounds pass stopped the clock with 4:10 remaining. And the Vikings need some lightning. Henderson right, Washington left. Lindsey is split right. Fake to Osborne. Buchanan is picked off, and so is the pass by Emmett Thomas. Thomas is at the 35, and down he goes. And again, with Bill Brown making the tackle, the Chiefs get the football back once more.
Kansas City's third interception. It's the same pass that Cap had intercepted twice, as Quazzo rolls to his left and tries to hit his tight end. This is Lindsey coming across here, and he just couldn't force it in there. Thomas with the interception. Bill Brown's going to make the tackle. A good tackle it is.
There's a timeout with the score. Kansas City 23, Minnesota 7. Let's pause for a moment. And they have the ball on their own 34-yard line with exactly 4 minutes remaining in the game. Dawson is quarterback throughout. Fakes to Hayes and goes to the air, surprisingly. Now he's going to run, even more surprising. And he really ripped. And Dawson got to the earth as quickly as he could as Alan Page and others were after him. He disappeared, didn't he? To the point where the two Minnesota tacklers like to nullify one another. There's Joe Cap along the sideline, and it appears, Pat Summerall, that he's bounced back from that injury.
So he told you it was his left shoulder that was injured in that collision with Brown. Dawson's lucky he went to the ground that time, because there's no way he could have known that it was Page behind him. And if they'd had a shot at him, he might be in the same shape as Joe Cap.
He ran for a first down to the 45, and the clock is running. 3:12 left. Out of the power I. Arbanis to the right side. Hits a split left, a long count. And a give to the running back, Wendell Hayes. Now there are 3 minutes left, and Lonnie Warwick made that tackle. This is an attempt to win the second in a row by the AFL. If they pull it off, the Chiefs, this being the 4th Super Bowl, it'll make it 2 wins for each league. What with the consolidation coming about, and the benefactors of all this are going to be the football fans of this country.
Certainly will. I think one of the things a lot of people forget is that the Kansas City Chiefs are a team that's been in existence longer than the Minnesota Vikings. Kansas City 10 years old, Minnesota 9 years old. And it would certainly appear that if they were ever equal, they reached that point right now.
Second down and 11 from the 43-yard line. Arbanis to the right. Otis Taylor is wide right. The give to McVay. McVay spins back to the original line of scrimmage, and the next order of business will be the 2-minute warning. Where the clock is running, the clock is official, and we have 2:05 left. 23-7 in favor of Kansas City. And the 2-minute warning being given at this moment. With the score, Kansas City 23, Minnesota 7. Let's pause for a moment.
Pardon me. What's in the basket?
Oh, wild berries,
fresh spring flowers, and country soft, country fresh Salem cigarettes.
But what's that tune you were humming?
Oh, it's the Salem song.
And what are the lyrics?
I thought you'd never ask. You can take Salem out of the country, but...
The Chiefs from Kansas City are only 2 minutes playing time away from being the champions of professional football. They are leading 23-7. Hank Stram, you'll meet all these people in the dressing rooms, both winning and losing, when the game is over. 3rd down and 11, Kansas City from their own 43. Dawson on a delay to McVay, a fake. He still has the ball. Eller drops him down, and a flag is thrown. And it was Page who got him after he ducked away. And now a little extracurricular action, quickly broken up by the officials. Both benches come into the area, and cooler heads prevail, gratefully, with 1:53 remaining in the game. Lonnie Warwick jumped in there. Alan Page took a rap at Lenny Dawson and brought the flag about after Carl Eller had made the original tackle, and referee John McDonough shoos people away and marks it off against the Vikings. And that will give Kansas City a first down, perhaps. See where they put it down. Now it looks like they're going to be shy of a first down.
But just barely shy. Looks like maybe a half yard or something like that. And if they do get this first down, oh, it looks like it is a first down, Jack.
It is. They got enough yardage, as it turned out, for a first down to the 45-yard line of Minnesota, with only 1:53 left.
And they should just about do it unless Minnesota starts to call timeouts now. They have 3 of them left. Kansas City has 2. Of course, they won't be using any. So that first down right there should just about do it. 1:53 left. Kansas City 23, Minnesota 7.
Dawson in the power eye, ships them out with McVay, with Hayes, gives to McVay. McVay broke one tackle. McVay got away from Carl Kosalki, who was up lurking on the line of scrimmage, and then Jim Marshall tackled him. Clock continues to run. McVay picked up 5, and it's 2nd and 5, and some of the tempers continue to flare as Ed Buddy started to get involved. Here comes Dawson out of the game. Dawson to the bench. And the Kansas City fans, and look at his teammates mobbing. He deserves all the praise we can send his way, Pat Summerall. He did an excellent job.
What an afternoon. 12 out of 17. His pass completion record for the afternoon. Mike Livingston is the quarterback now.
Livingston on a straight-ahead play to Wendell Hayes. 1 minute left in this Super Bowl. Lonnie Warwick, the tackler. That was a 2nd down play. Minnesota not really anxious to stop the clock. They trail by a considerable margin. Hayes comes off the field. He is replaced by Podolak. Ed Podolak, number 14. 40 seconds remaining. One more play. And then, if Minnesota does not stop the clock, the Super Bowl will be history. Running with the ball is Robert Holmes. The tackle is made by Lonnie Warwick. The Vikings do not stop the clock, and you can count it down yourself. The score is 23-7. We're going to go to both dressing rooms. Stram is already on the shoulders of his players. And after being vanquished by Green Bay in 1967, the Chiefs are the champions of pro football. Escorted off the field. You can see 89. You can see number 3. 89 is Taylor. Number 3 is Stenerud. And the hilarity on the field matched only in its contrast to the picture which prevails on the far side as the Vikings, the champions of the National Football League, go to their dressing room without the Super Bowl trophy. And we see Hank Stram. He's looking, I know, for Bud Grant, so they can exchange amenities there in the field, and evidently Grant is not to be found at the moment. And so Stram heads for his jubilant dressing room in the end of a long, hard season. For Kansas City, the champions of pro football, after finishing second in the West with a record of 11-3, defeated New York, defeated Oakland, and today outdid the favored Minnesota Vikings. They led 3-0, 6-0, 9-0, and 16-0 at halftime. Each team scored in the third period, with Dave Osborne getting the only points for Minnesota. Red Cox with the extra point, of course. Then Otis Taylor with a 47-yard touchdown, which was the final score of the game. 3 interceptions, some striking end-around plays on the part of the Kansas City Chiefs, and as we mentioned during the telecast, it really was a play that didn't work much in the National Football League this year because it had been so effective in the past that other teams had defensed it. But the Chiefs made it go today, with Frank Pitts being one of the outstanding performers. The offense matched the defense for the Chiefs, and they walk away with all the marbles. The Vikings never could get on track, trailed at the dressing room 16-0 at halftime. Came out, got the first score. Then if you look back, as we watch the Southern University band, if you look back to the third down play, which took place right in front of the Kansas City bench, the score was 16-7 at the time. And had that third down play not gone, Kansas City would have had to give the ball back to Minnesota. You can picture a Viking score and a change of the entire situation. But it didn't happen, so now we're in the winner's dressing room. And that's Emmett Thomas. We're outside the dressing room, and it'll be a while. The Kansas City team will conduct a team prayer. I just saw Weave Eubank, the coach of the New York Jets, heading toward the Kansas City dressing room. Stein is number 66, Lanier is number 63. They'll conduct a team prayer, and then our CBS cameras and Frank Gifford, there's Hank Stram, Frank Gifford and Pat Summerall will take you into...
I'm very, very proud of the team and Hank, and most especially Len Dawson, because I know how much the game meant to him. And we're very proud to be the champions of pro football, and it's a fantastic sport, and we'll now have to set out to defend those honors next year.
Lamar Hunt, the owner of the Kansas City Chiefs, and we're going to ask both of you gentlemen to stay with us for just a moment. We'll get Commissioner Roselle for the presentation, and we'll be back with the 1969 world champions back in the Kansas City locker room, where Commissioner Pete Roselle, the commissioner of pro football, is going to make the presentation to the owner of the Kansas City Chiefs, Lamar Hunt, head coach Hank Stram, commissioner.
Hank, your club proved themselves true champions. They overcame injuries early in the year, and then on successive games, you defeated last year's Super Bowl winners, the Jets, the Western Division winners, the Raiders, today the Super Bowl. True champions. Congratulations to you and Lamar.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Commissioner. We appreciate this honor greatly, and I assure you that this belongs to our whole squad and our whole organization. It's a great compliment to a great bunch of people, great compliment to Lamar. Lenny Dawson performed extremely well today under adversity, but we're very happy to be champions of the world, and we're going to do everything we possibly can to maintain the prestige of this great honor. Thank you very much.
Hank, again, our congratulations. The beautiful Tiffany Trophy, the beautiful silver Tiffany Trophy representation of the champion of all the world. And again, could I get your reaction, Lamar Hunt, as you look back to those other years, some 10 years ago? There must be quite a reaction.
It's pretty fantastic. It's a beautiful trophy, and it really is a satisfying conclusion to the 10 years of the American Football League. And there have been a lot of people put a lot of time and sweat and energy into it. And I want to say especially a thanks to the people of Kansas City. This trophy really belongs to them too, as well as the organization, because the team is Kansas City's.
Very happy owner, Lamar Hunt. Again, our congratulations to you, Hank Stram. I know you want to get around and talk to your individual players. Thank you for joining us. We can maybe have you come back and spend a few more minutes with us.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt. Ernie, this is Ernie Ladd. I hope you can see big Ernie Ladd. You said something just a moment ago. Ernie Ladd was not a part of this victory here today. He's been a big part of the Kansas City Chiefs. Ernie Ladd, you said something. You were a part in your heart.
Oh, yes, of course. I've been wrestling all season in Madison Square Garden, around New York and Boston and other places. But in my heart, I want to tell you, I was a part of this organization. Like they might try to forget the American Football League, but we'll never forget it. Some of the founders, we'll never forget it.
A lot of people won't forget it either.
And let some of the participants get in here and talk with you.
Ernie, great job. So let's go right now to Pat Summerall, and then we'll be back in a moment with Lenny Dawson.
All right, Frank, as you can tell, it's Bedlam. I'm with one of the real veterans of this Kansas City defensive unit, and the man they tell me is the inspiration leader for the whole team. That would be Jerry Mays. And congratulations, Jerry, on an outstanding afternoon today.
Thank you so much. I don't believe I've ever been so happy in my life.
I can well imagine. Before the game, during the week, you told me that you had something stuck in your craw for a long time, the fact that Green Bay had beaten you in the first Super Bowl. You think that had a lot to do with this afternoon's victory?
Well, I think it helped us a great deal, you know, the fact that we were so humiliated in the first Super Bowl. And of course, we had confidence this time, but I think it was an added incentive for us this year. We've been living with that for a long time.
Jerry, you took it to Minnesota right from the very beginning this afternoon. You seem to be completely in command of the situation throughout the day. Did you approach practice like that through the week?
Well, I think we had a great practice. We had, like I say, a little inner confidence, and we felt like if we could out-hit them, that we could beat them. And we had all the respect in the world for Minnesota, but we felt deep in our heart that we were a little bit better team. Just a little bit better.
I'd like to get your impressions and your thoughts about the quarterback, Lenny Dawson.
Well, of course, all of us wanted Lenny to have his biggest day today because of the gambling question that came up during the year, and all of us love Lenny. He's been through some real rough times, especially this year with his knee and his dad. And we wanted, all of us that have been with Lenny throughout the years have wanted him to have the biggest game today, and I think he did have a great game.
You hear a lot about Minnesota being a team of love, but this is a team, too, like that.
Oh, yeah, we're very close. We really are. And it's the darndest team I've ever seen. There's not a guy on this team, I believe, that gets on anybody else's nerves, much less dislike you.
Jerry Mays, congratulations. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Much good luck. Much good luck. Now let's go back to Frank Gifford.
Jerry May, and we'll be back with Lenny Dawson, the quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs, and the rest of the world champions in just a moment. Lenny Dawson, the young man who engineered a great victory for his Kansas City Chiefs today. And Lenny, it's got to be the highlight of a truly great career, collegiate at Purdue, an All-American there, and an outstanding professional. Your own personal feelings?
Well, Frank, I'll tell you, everybody wants to get a shot at the big one. If you're a boxer, you want in the heavyweights, you want to get a shot at the heavyweight championship. That's all we asked for all along, that you have the opportunity to play in the championship game in our league and also to play in the Super Bowl game, and then hope that we could put things together in the Super Bowl game. I thought our guys out there did a tremendous job, both offensively and defensively, because Minnesota is an outstanding football team.
Lenny, they protected you just great. It appeared that way to me.
Well, they dedicated themselves to do that. I knew all along that they were going to do a great job against the Minnesota front four, and when you do the job like our guys did against a team like that, they have to do a fantastic job. And plus the fact that David Hill, during the course of the game, I think he hurt his knee or something, and he wasn't at full strength the entire game. Of course, he's over Carl Eller, and he's a fantastic football player.
Lenny, a well-played game. If we could, I'd like to have you stay with me just a moment. Right now, we'd like to touch quickly to Jack Whitaker.
Thank you very much, Frank. Over here in the Minnesota dressing room, it's a little more quiet, obviously, than where you are. Here's the head coach, Bud Grant, of the Minnesota Vikings. It's not one of your most memorable moments today, I guess, Coach. What happened?
You saw what happened. We played a fine football team, and I think Kansas City are deserving winners, and certainly you couldn't have a finer team represent professional football as our champion.
I know that you had said, and some of other people in Minnesota through the week, that you were worried about this club. They were a physical club, and that your pass rush might be blunted somewhat. Kind of turned out that way in some respects, didn't it?
Well, I think we're a little similar in that when they get ahead, they're very tough to come back against, and this has been something that we've been fortunate to be able to do, to get ahead of teams, and their ball control and their style of play and their tough defense. And we thought we had a chance at halftime. We got back in the ball game with 10 points away, but when they got that last touchdown, I think that was, you're not going to come from 3 touchdowns behind and beat a good team like Kansas City.
How about the mental attitude of your ball club? Did you feel that was any different today?
No, I think this club has always been really ready to play football. I think we played as well as we could today. Tomorrow might be another story, but we played the game today.
Getting up emotionally as you've had to now for Los Angeles and then Cleveland, and now this one, takes its toll sometimes, though, doesn't it?
Well, Kansas City had to do the same thing. They had to play in New York, they had to play in Oakland, and they had to play here, and they're all three away from home, and I think they've done a tremendous job.
Well, so have you, Bud. I know it's a great disappointment, but we're going to hear a lot more about the Minnesota Vikings in the years to come, I think.
Well, we sure hope so, and maybe we can come back next year or sometime and redeem ourselves a little bit.
Thank you very much, Bud Grant.
You bet.
Head coach of the Minnesota Vikings here in their locker room, and now let's go back to Frank Gifford in the Kansas City Chiefs room.
Thank you, Jack. Obviously a different atmosphere in the world's champions locker room. And Lenny Dawson, I mentioned a moment ago you called a very fine game. It appeared as if you wanted to do some trapping on their outside men. You got your first touchdown, Mike Garrett. Let's take a look at Mike Garrett scoring the first touchdown for Kansas City. And I think Mo Mormon got a tremendous block on Jim Marshall. Here it is, Lenny.
Well, we were faking the toss. You'll see the left tackle pulling out, Frank, and we're trying to influence, and there it is, a great influence on their defensive end. And Garrett went in. Mo Mormon made the great block.
And here coming up now is you hitting Otis Taylor.
Well, I don't know what happened on this play. I got hit just as he caught it. This is the first time that I knew what happened. Here's a great move by Otis. And of course, he's a guy that can break up any ball game, Frank. He's got tremendous speed, size, great hands and moves. And
here you're hitting Frank Pitts.
Frank's another guy with great speed, too, and we felt that we could throw in front of these guys today, that they played off quite a bit, and we thought that our thinking was to try to contain their defensive ends.
That 48-yard field goal didn't hurt either, did it, Lenny?
Oh, this Jan Stenderud's done that all year. Here's a reverse. We ran this 2 or 3 times during the course of the day, and the primary reason, Frank, is because Minnesota pursues exceptionally well. They're awfully quick.
Willie Lear played a fine game for you defensively, as did your entire club. And here he comes up with a very key interception.
Well, that's right. Willie's done this all year, and of course he's a real hitter in the ball game, and this isn't his real forte, intercepting. His real forte is stopping running plays.
And here I think either Aaron Brown or might be I think Buck Buchanan. Got a hold of,
you can see the speed
that
Buck has, and there's Aaron Brown coming off. I know that Aaron later in the ball game injured his finger, and look, the thing was turned completely around. It looked like it was broken. I haven't been able to see him because of the crowd, but I hope he's all right.
Lenny, again, our sincere congratulations. I know it's been a hectic time for you down here, and you performed like the champion you are. And I know you must feel very proud of your teammates, and you should be certainly proud of what you've done.
Frank, thank you very much.
We'll be back with the 1969 World Champion.
With me is Johnny Robinson. Big Ernie Ladd just came by and said, I want you to meet the next governor of Louisiana. And I think...
That's right. Johnny Robinson is the next governor of this state.
I think if he ran today, he would be, too. John, a lot of speculation during the week that you might not be able to make it because of injured cartilages. Didn't seem to bother you.
Well, I had it injected before the game and at the half, and I felt a little uncomfortable at times, but it was Friday till I felt sure I could play, and then I felt I could handle it.
I know we talked to the coaches during the week, and they felt and told us how very important you were to the secondary because you were sort of the quarterback of the group, the guy who held the secondary together.
Well, I appreciate that. We have several young boys playing in the secondary, and I know our defense is very well. I work very close with the defensive coach, and we can recognize a few things that maybe an inexperienced person might not have, but we had qualified people to take my place. It wasn't a matter of ability or anything else. It was just maybe experience, the only reason that they said that.
Did Minnesota do anything that surprised you?
No, sir. I didn't think so. We felt they would do just about that. I thought they perhaps might throw deeper a few more times than they did, but the times they did, we seemed to have them covered, and then he went to a few shorter stuff, but our line was containing him pretty well, and I think that's the reason he didn't do that.
Just as an observer, John, I got the impression that Minnesota had a little trouble handling the defense that you played, where you either had Curly Culp or Buck Buchanan in front of their offensive center.
Well, that's true, but Buck and Curly wanted to get out of the defense. They rather rush off the 4-man front than that triple, and the coach kept putting us in the triple, and Buck and them felt they could have a heck of a lot better rush if they went in a 4-man rush, and they kept on the side. They had trouble with it, but our defensive boys felt they'd be a lot stronger in a 4-3, but the coaches kept us in the triple, and they had some trouble with that.
There's one question I feel that I must ask you because you are Lynn Dawson's roommate. Frank Gifford just spoke with him a few minutes ago about the tremendous afternoon he had today. I'd like to ask you, if I could, since you are his roommate, what kind of week was it for Lynn Dawson with all that happened to him this week?
Well, I think Lenny showed a great deal of, personal fortitude when he hung in there like he did. I think he started pepping up after all the telegrams, and boy, just worlds and worlds of telegrams were coming in, people offering their prayers and backing him 100%. By Friday, he pepped up a little, but I'll be frank with you, for a couple of days, he was looked like he aged about 5 years to me, and for a while, I kept trying to get him up. He stayed in the room 90% of the time and only left for interviews, things like that. And it was a real pressure game for Lenny Dawson, and you just can't say enough for him, the way he reacted to it and handled it. What a great job he did. I'm just sorry that he had to go through that, but being the top quarterback on the top team in the country, I tell you, that's a pretty good honor. I hope that'll offer some condolences for him.
It's a great honor. Congratulations to you, Johnny.
Thank you, Pat.
Great afternoon. Great afternoon. Now let's go back to Frank.
Presenting the White House, the Secretary of the Education, Welfare, Mr. Secretary Finch. I know you're very pleased, particularly about the performance of one outstanding youngster, Mike Garrett.
Well, we're a little chauvinistic, you and I, because of our SC background, but Mike played a great game, and it was very exciting to see the Kansas City Chiefs come out and execute a game plan as well as they did. I think it was that was the significant thing about this whole ball game.
Well, it certainly was, and we thank you for stopping by, Secretary Finch, Secretary of Health, Education, and Welfare. And one other word, I know the president must have been looking in on this one. He's a big football fan.
Yeah, he called.
Did you have an opportunity to talk to him? Who did he speak with?
I don't know who he's talked to. I know he called, but it was a good game, Frank. Nice to see you
thank you
again.
for joining us.
Thank you.
Let's go now to Jack Whitaker.
Thank you very much, Frank. So there you have the 4th annual Super Bowl. And this great old rusty stadium now has emptied out. It's 80,000 people filtering into the city of New Orleans, which lies behind. And tonight on streets like Rampart and Bourbon and Royal, they will give the old quarter of this lovely old town another riotous time. The 1970 Super Bowl was played by two teams that perhaps reflect the times of the 1970s. This was Middle America. This was the Super Bowl of the silent majority. The Minnesota Vikings from the center of the Northland up where the Mississippi begins. Kansas City from the geographical center of our country, a prairie town grown big and cosmopolitan. The game played here in New Orleans, the center of the South, Delta land where the Mississippi ends. It was Central Time Zone all the way. And both of these clubs reflected the personalities of the towns and areas they represent. There is not the glitter of New York nor the glamour of L.A. about Kansas City or Minneapolis, nor about their football clubs. These are two very physical, hard-hitting, cold-weather teams. And in the end today, it was the boys from the middle of the country, Kansas City, who won, and they won it where good football games are won, in the line, and they made the fewer mistakes. For Minnesota, the disappointment is, of course, keen. This is a proud club. Their pride born of their expansionist beginnings and nurtured by the excellence of their organization. But their fans must know that the Vikings are going to be a factor for many more seasons to come. Today, they were just simply outplayed. For Kansas City, the victory is all the sweeter than most. They came into this game after a second chance because of an artificial playoff system. But once getting that second chance, they made it work. And their win today against the best of the other league solidifies their league's claim to parity and perhaps a little more. They'll return to Kansas City tonight, not as they did 3 years ago as gallant losers, but at the very pinnacle of the professional football world, to the cheers of their fans, not the least of which will be the 4th grade class of the Glenafrill Hill School in Salinas, Kansas, who knew that they would be world champions before most of us did. The year of the Jets has ended. The year of the Chiefs has begun. We would like to thank all the players in the AFL and the NFL and the Professional Football League office for their tremendous cooperation this week, plus the two publicity men, Jim Schaff of the Kansas City Chiefs and Bill McGrain of the Minnesota Vikings. Also, our thanks to the 212 CBS network affiliates who help us produce 8 NFL games every Sunday and who are as proud as we are of being associated with this great sport. Our thanks, too, to our technical crew, without whose dedication and performance these telecasts, of course, would not be possible. For Jack Buck, Pat Summerall, Frank Gifford, this is Jack Whitaker saying good night from Tulane Stadium in New Orleans.
The 1969 World Champions were brought to you by Marlboro Filter Cigarettes. Come to where the flavor is. Come to Marlboro Country. And by Ford, who for the 9th consecutive year has been bringing you NFL football for your enjoyment. And by Muriel Cigars, in a size and shape for every smoker. 1969 World Champions were produced by CBS Television Sports.